Chapter 646. Han Fei was quite curious about the cultivation path of sea demons and asked Zhang Teng. In any case, this Zhang Teng was a fake, so he definitely knew a lot. He still didn't want to expose himself and pretended to be a prisoner. Logically speaking, he would tell her everything he knew. Han Fei sat cross-legged and leaned against Zhang Teng's cage. What happened after that? What came after the sea spirit? Let me think. Isn't that the same level as an explorer? Zhang Teng was puzzled. It doesn't seem right for this kid to ask me like a fool. Did he really have nothing to do with the sirens? Zhang Teng also said with a smile, theoretically, yes. But that level was already too high. Who knew? Even now, the red demons we've seen are basically all in the demonization realm. But don't think that the demonization realm necessarily corresponds to the hanging fisher. This sea monster is different from human beings. Sometimes, even if it has the strength of a hidden fisher, it is still in the demonization state. I don't know if they're divided by realms. Han Fei clicked his tongue and said, I don't think so. Let's say a level 100 big fish, such as a cloud whale, suddenly demonized. Do you think it's still in the demonization realm? Zhang Teng waved his hand. I don't know. Who knows? Han Fei sighed. Forget it. What does it have to do with me? I'm the man who killed the red demon. Immediately, Han Fei opened the cage and shouted, Is anyone here? Is anyone here? Did they all fall into the trench? Zhang Teng sneered, Stop shouting. If shouting was of any use, I would have left long ago. Han Fei snorted. Why should I? I'm the prodigy who killed the red demon. Zhang Teng was speechless. What's the big deal about killing a red demon? Beneath our feet, there are people who have killed groups of sea spirit level powerhouses. Aren't they also locked up? Han Fei was stunned. What did you say? He killed a sea spirit? That is to say, there are super experts in this prison who have killed law enforcement officers before? Zhang Teng shrugged noncommittally. Han Fei immediately gasped. Shoot, it's right under our feet? Zhang Teng chuckled. Yes, the fourth floor. Han Fei looked at Zhang Teng suspiciously. Aren't you a prisoner? How do you know there's a fourth level of the Scattered Stars prison? Zhang Teng said, I'm a prisoner, but I'm also a powerhouse. I was originally an existence that could have become a 7-star powerhouse. What's wrong with knowing this? Han Fei swallowed. Why is the existence who killed the sea spirits locked in the Scattered Stars prison? Zhang Teng shook his head. Who knows? What if he was in love with sea spirit? After all, sea spirits shouldn't be much different from humans. Tisk, Han Fei said in disdain. Old man, who's crazy enough to fall in love with a fish? Zhang Teng chuckled. That's true. It's none of our business anyway. After chatting for a long time, Han Fei pretended to be a novice. At the same time, he was thinking about how he could prove himself in front of Zhang Teng. Han Fei racked his brains. In this day and age, as a human, he had to find ways to prove that he was a human. It was really hard to be a human. So, Han Fei practiced the 108 desolate god body in the cage. At this moment, the 108 desolate god body was a heaven-level divine quality combat skill, which could absorb spiritual energy from the void. Han Fei stepped on the ground, and a spirit-gathering array appeared. Then he began to practice the 108 desolate god body. The surrounding spiritual energy was gathering, which was extremely pure. Zhang Teng was fooled. Huh, what kind of body tempering technique is this? It seems to be of a high level. Han Fei smiled. Of course. Don't you know where I come from? Zhang Teng asked. Where are you from? If I tell you, I'm afraid you'll be scared to death. Zhang Teng sneered. When I was dominating the sea, did I grow up scared? Han Fei grinned. It's different. Do you know the Thug Academy? It's a Thug Academy that once swept through the 36 towns and the 1,000-star city. This body tempering technique was left by the first-generation ancestor of the Thug Academy. Zhang Teng rolled his eyes. It was the first time that he had seen someone so boastful. I've already thoroughly investigated your background. If it weren't for the fact that you're from the Thug Academy, I wouldn't have bothered to pretend to be a prisoner. I would have killed you as soon as possible. However, what was body tempering? Physique, meridians, and bones. At this moment, pure spiritual energy was flowing in Han Fei's meridians. The spiritual energy flowed slowly, and Han Fei didn't even hesitate to go through the circulation route. After watching for a while, Zhang Teng finally confirmed that Han Fei was a human being. He didn't know if sea demons had such meridians. It was easy to see the problem when one was cultivating. If Han Fei was really a sea demon, his spiritual energy couldn't be so pure. Ahem. Well, don't disturb me. I'm cultivating. Zhang Teng hesitated. Actually, Han Fei said angrily, "Oh, I told you not to talk. I'm going to cultivate early and become a hanging fisher." Zhang Teng was speechless and then laughed. With a turn of his body, he had already appeared outside the cage. When he walked to Han Fei's cage, Han Fei saw someone and immediately raised his head. Then Han Fei sat on the ground. F***CK. Why did you go out? Han Fei looked at the cage next door. There was no one there. Seeing Han Fei's astonished expression, the corners of Zhang Teng's mouth gradually curled up. With a burst of spiritual energy, all the dirt on his body was removed, and a brand new dark green robe was put on his body. Hanging on his waist was a 7-star waist token, and hanging together with the 7-star waist token was a prison token. Han Fei was dumbfounded. His eyes fell on the prison token, and a myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind. The prison token. Is it the token of the Scattered Stars prison? Why is the token of the Scattered Stars prison with the hexagon starfish? Han Fei thought about it and was puzzled. The hexagon starfish was locked in the ordinary fishery by Ren Tianfei 300 years ago. So, it was reasonable to say that his prison token was at least a product of 300 years ago. If it was a 7-star super expert like Hexagon Starfish who had the prison token, how could the Hexagon Starfish have the prison token? Thinking of this, it seemed extremely strange that the prison token appeared in the treasure door of the Hexagon Starfish. Han Fei remembered that he had asked the Hexagon Starfish where this prison token came from. The Hexagon Starfish said it didn't remember. How could the Hexagon Starfish remember? It only liked shiny things. It would be strange if it could remember this blackened prison token. Therefore, it couldn't have been picked up from the bottom of the sea by the Hexagon Starfish. Since it was not picked up, it must have been put in by someone. Who put it in? Why put in the treasure door of the Hexagon Starfish? The only person Han Fei could think of was Ren Tianfei. Why did Ren Tianfei put the prison token in the treasure door of the Hexagon Starfish? Was it for Han Fei? Wow! Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. If this was the case, why didn't Ren Tianfei say it directly? Han Fei was lost in thought for a moment. If it wasn't Ren Tianfei who put the prison token, then who did it? However, in the eyes of Zhang Teng, he thought that Han Fei was surprised to see that he had become a 7-star master. He was very satisfied with Han Fei's current expression, which was even more comfortable than flattering him. Little did he know that the two of them were thinking about two different things. Cough, cough. Zhang Teng said leisurely, Han Fei, one of the deputy captains of the 8th Battalion of the 3rd Column. After 30 years, the first generation of the Thug Academy is really extraordinary. It's really commendable that you dare to challenge a red demon at such a young age. Han Fei suddenly came back to his senses. Are you testing me? Zhang Teng nodded noncommittally. More or less. Although I'm basically sure that you are not a sea demon now, I still have a few questions to ask you. Han Fei pretended to be angry. Go ahead, Zhang Teng asked. First, what is the ring on your hand? I've pinched it. It's extremely hard and can't be broken or taken off. Unless you cut off your finger, even I can't take it out. Han Fei sneered. Then why didn't you cut off my hand? Zhang Teng said with a smile. I wanted to, but when I tried to cut off that finger, a strange power burst out and almost hurt me. This is not an ordinary method. If I really cut off your hand, it would be quite dangerous. Han Fei bared his teeth and said angrily, I made a great contribution, and you still want to cut off my hand. Zhang Teng smiled faintly. I didn't cut it off. So what exactly is this? Han Fei snorted. It's a protective item given by an elder. Fortunately, you didn't cut it off. Otherwise, I'm afraid you will regret it. Zhang Teng narrowed his eyes and didn't care. He just felt that he might have underestimated the Thug Academy. Zhang Ting nodded. Okay, let's not talk about this for now. Let me ask you about your physique. Did you cultivate your current physique through that body-refining technique just now? Han Fei frowned. Here it comes. Ren Tianfei said that before coming to the unknown place, he should cultivate a body-refining technique. He must not expose the indestructible body. Sure enough, someone began to doubt his physique. Han Fei rolled his eyes and said, "Isn't that obvious? My body-refining technique just now is not strong enough. However, don't even think about it. I won't teach it to anyone. If you dare to rob it, seriously, you will have to be afraid of the revenge of the Thug Academy." Chapter 647. Han Fei looked at Zhang Tang calmly, without moving his eyes. Who told you that this is a heaven-level, high-quality body tempering technique? Zhang Tang was shocked. Then what level is it? Han Fei grinned faintly. Heaven-level, divine quality. Impossible. Zhang Tang suddenly grabbed the cage and glared at Han Fei. There is no divine quality in this world. Han Fei laughed. I give you a chance. Go to the Thug Academy and ask them. As long as you're not afraid of being thrown out, you are welcome to ask them. The Thug Academy once swept the 1,000-star city. Do you really think we don't have any trump cards? Let alone the Thug Academy, which big clans in the 1,000-star city have such a powerful technique. Why don't you go and ask them? Zhang Tang stared at Han Fei. Humph, do you think I dare not? I will continue to investigate this matter. Han Fei said frankly. You are welcome to investigate. Han Fei was calm. It was impossible for Zhang Tang to find out the problem. Of course, Old Bai had long seen that there was a problem with the body-tempering technique he cultivated. It was the 108 spirit-absorbing war bodies before, and now it was the 108 desolate god body. No matter which one it was, theoretically, it was impossible to reach his current physique. Old Bai didn't know that, but he didn't ask, which made Han Fei happy. Besides, Han Fei suspected that even if Old Bai knew that he cultivated the indestructible body, what could he do? Although he didn't know the secrets of the Thug Academy, he was sure that they had a grudge against the 1,000-star city. Only some people in the 1,000-star city were qualified to have a grudge against the Thug Academy. Otherwise, according to Old Bai's character, the Thug Academy wouldn't have suffered so easily. Han Fei said with a smile, Master Zhang, do you have any other questions? I will tell you everything I know. Zhang Tang restrained his momentum and said with a smile, I do have some questions, but you can't answer them. How did the demonic energy in your body disappear? Don't even think about getting away with it. Han Fei said indifferently, Hey, have you ever heard of a law? Zhang Ting asked, Law? What law? Han Fei shrugged. The law of conservation of energy. Zhang Tang frowned. What is this? Han Fei grinned. You should have known it. Everything in the world was energy. Matter would not be annihilated and would only continue to exist in this world in a certain way. Although I really don't know what's going on with the demonic aura, I'm not a demon after all. Why must you ask me where the demonic aura went? I can only say that it turned into another kind of energy. Perhaps it will be absorbed by me, or perhaps it will dissipate into the world. No matter what, I don't think it will be a big problem. Zhang Tang sneered. What law of conservation of energy? This was the normal heavenly Tao. Your explanation does make sense, but Zhang Tang stretched out 2 fingers, pointed at his eyes, and then pointed at Han Fei. If there's something wrong with you, you can't escape my eyes. Creak. The cage suddenly opened automatically. Zhang Tang said indifferently, All right, let's go. Han Fei asked in surprise, You're letting me go? Zhang Tang smiled and said, Why don't you continue to stay here? I didn't lie to you when I told you before. This 3rd floor was really built to detain hidden fissures. Han Fei looked at the empty cells. So, the previous hidden fissures here were really sent to the battlefield to die? Of course. Passing through the 2nd floor and the 1st floor, Han Fei met a total of 3 jailers. Han Fei's eyes had been staring at their waists. When he found that only Zhang Tang had this prison token, he knew that his prison token definitely didn't exist in the treasure gate of the hexagon starfish for no reason. On the ground, it was not sunlight but a big dark room. He couldn't see anything. Out of the room, there was a yard. At this moment, there was a gate on the ground in the yard. Han Fei found that Wang Dashui, Xia Xiaochan, Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renquang, Luo Xiaobai, and Chao Qiu were all here. At the moment when Zhang Tong came out, the gate hung in the sky, turned into a huge shadow, and slammed directly at Zhang Tong. Seeing this, Han Fei immediately jumped to the side. Zhang Tong punched horizontally, and with a thud, he took 7 or 8 steps back. Zhang Tong said angrily, Wang Dashui, don't be presumptuous. Don't forget where this place is. Although there was a touch of anger on Wang Dashui's face, he still didn't look ferocious. However, his tone was extremely domineering. My junior brother has made a great contribution. How dare you doubt my junior brother? You're courting death. The gate was raised by Wang Dashui and slammed down from the sky like a huge flat brick. With a bang, the whole room was smashed into powder. 2 big axes appeared in Zhang Tong's hands, blocking the gate, and he shouted angrily, Wang Dashui, it's not your business to arrest people in the Scattered Stars prison. Wang Dashui didn't have such awareness. His body, which was as strong as a hill, broke through the air. As the giant gate flapped, a gust of wind blew, and the 7-star Zhang Tong was blasted out one after another. Enough! Zhang Tong's axes flashed in the air. Wang Dashui, do you also want to enter the Scattered Stars prison? Wang Dashui grinned. Have a try. At this moment, Han Fei shouted, Senior Brother Dashui, Senior Brother Dashui, forget it, forget it. Wang Dashui stopped and his face turned ugly. Huh? Forget it? Little junior brother, this son of a B***TCH didn't embarrass you, did he? Han Fei showed a weird smile. Senior Brother Dashui, it's okay. I had a good talk with Master Zhang Tong in the prison. Xia Xiaochan appeared beside Han Fei. What do you mean good talk? I heard that you were carried in while unconscious. The hexagon starfish was hanging on Xia Xiaochan's shoulder. I helped, but they took you in, and I couldn't help them. Han Fei smoothed Xia Xiaochan's hair. It's nothing, nothing. Then Han Fei looked at the hexagon starfish. For the sake of your bravery that day, I'll get you some treasures later. The hexagon starfish's eyes lit up. Really? You won't lie to me? Of course. The benefits are beyond your imagination. Fei Fei, are you all right? Lu Renquang asked. Han Fei, did he embarrass you? I heard that no one in the Scattered Stars prison has a good ending. Chao Qiu nodded again and again. Yes, I immediately went to find reinforcements. But I didn't get you out until now. Han Fei looked back at the house that had become a ruin and said with a smile, It's okay. I really had a good talk with Master Zhang Tong. Maybe I'll come again in the future. I'd better show some mercy. Again? Wang Dashui stared at him. This place is not good. Let's not come again. Han Fei smiled and said, Who knows? Master Zhang, I won't pay for this house. The sea-swallowing seashells that were taken from me should be enough. Wang Dashui turned his head. Give me back my sea-swallowing seashells. Han Fei quickly pulled Wang Dashui over. Hey, Senior Brother Dashui, it's just a sea-swallowing seashell. Don't be so generous. Wang Dashui chuckled. Little junior brother, it doesn't matter. Clang. Wang Dashui shouldered the door and glanced at Zhang Tong. Fortunately, my little junior brother is fine. Otherwise, I would have smashed you into a fish skin. The corners of Zhang Tong's mouth trembled and he sneered. Really? Let's talk about it. After you get a 7-star title. Wang Dashui asked. Little junior brother, let's go. Han Fei had already taken Xia Xiaochan's hand. Let's find a place to have a meal. I haven't eaten for a long time. After leaving the Scattered Stars prison, Han Fei found that this place was as remote as the Scattered Stars 7 units. Wang Dashui said here, there are a lot of people and masters watching it. Han Fei was stunned. Senior brother, why did you smash someone's house? Won't anyone make trouble for you? Wang Dashui shook his head. It's okay. Some people are just watching. They won't do anything unless something big happens. Han Fei clicked his tongue. Chao Qiu, thank you. Chao Qiu chuckled. You do have to thank me. If I hadn't fished you out of the sea, you would have been eaten by countless marine creatures. Han Fei asked, what happened then? Was there a fish tide? Chao Qiu shook his head. Didn't we set off the highest alarm? All of a sudden, 8 guard regiments came and directly flattened the skeleton shore. Han Fei let out a long breath. That's good. Xiao Xiaochan glared at Han Fei. What's good about it? I heard that you were almost killed. Han Fei bared his teeth. How can I be killed so easily? However, the enemy's combat power was indeed beyond my expectations. Let me tell you, we must not fight head-on with creatures at the level of hidden fissures. We really can't beat them. Everyone rolled their eyes. Isn't that nonsense? Don't you know what realm you are in? Isn't it enough for you to kill peak-level hanging fissures? Now you want to kill hidden fissures? Chao Qiu said regretfully. Give me 2 ancient jades. Han Fei patted Chao Qiu on the shoulder. This time, all the credit is yours, and all the points are yours. In addition, I will seal spirits in all your ultra-quality weapons. Chao Qiu was surprised. Huh? Han Fei, you are generous? Han Fei was taken aback. Really? Everyone nodded. Yes. When Han Fei was about to give the hexagon starfish a reward, everyone was surprised. When did Han Fei become so generous? Han Fei chuckled. It doesn't matter whether it's money or not. I just want to be happy. Let's go. Have a good meal. Chapter 648. They didn't intend to bother Wang Dashui at the beginning of the Scattered Stars Island. After all, Wang Dashui had left the Thug Academy before. Although they felt close, they were not as close as the 5 of them. Moreover, when they needed to use Wang Dashui, it meant that they had already started to stir up trouble. This is not a good start. At this moment, everyone found a random place in the Hengduan mountain range and began to eat hot pot. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Senior brother, someone is spying on us. In the forest, Luo Xiaobai's perception range should be the furthest. With plants as her eyes, she knew the surroundings better than Han Fei did. Wang Dashui said innocently, It's okay. It's not the Scattered Stars prison. Anyone who goes deeper into the Hengduan mountain range will basically be monitored. Are there any secrets in the Transverse Mountain? Zhang Teng told him that one of the largest producers of spirit awakening fluid was inside the Transverse Mountain. If that was the case, the entire Transverse Mountain should be the most heavily guarded place on the Scattered Stars Island. At that time, Han Fei wondered why Zhang Teng talked to him. Zhang Teng was very confident about the safety of the spirit awakening fluid collection area in the Transverse Mountain. He was telling Han Fei to see if there would be any follow-up actions after guessing Han Fei's identity. Wang Dashui smiled and said, Yes. However, there was no need to worry about it, and there was no need to rush in. Most of the experts in Fragmentary Star City are in the Transverse Mountain range. Han Fei's heart skipped a beat. Sure enough, all the strong masters are here. It meant that this was the safest place on the Scattered Stars Island. Picking up a piece of lobster meat, Han Fei asked, Senior brother, do you know where there are plantations on the island? Wang Dashui's mouth was covered with oil. He was holding a large piece of sea cucumber meat in his hands and gnawing on it. After hearing Han Fei's words, he couldn't help but say in astonishment, Plantation? Are there any plantations on the Scattered Stars Island? Xiao Xiaochan and the others also looked at Han Fei. Does the Thug Academy have territory on the Scattered Stars Island too? Han Fei grinned. I guessed. Han Fei was puzzled. That's impossible. According to old Jiang and Jiang Qin's personalities, if they lived on the Scattered Stars Island for a long time, how could they not establish a plantation? I think it's possible. What if we still have martial uncles on the Scattered Stars Island? Wang Dashui shook his head. No, martial uncle didn't. You still have a senior sister and senior brother, but they're not on the island now. Xiao Xiaochan asked, Senior brother and senior sister? Lu Renquang quickly said, Then including you, senior brother Dashui, there are 3 of you, right? Wang Dashui smiled. Yes, they go out. I watch the house. By the way, try not to go to sea before you become intermediate hanging fishers. With that, Wang Dashui looked at Han Fei. Little junior brother, don't go out for the time being. Is it very dangerous? Wang Dashui glanced at Chao Qiu, who was engrossed in eating, and patted Chao Qiu with his big hand. Well, do you want to go back first? Chao Qiu paused for a moment. I'm just having a meal. I won't eavesdrop. Xiao Xiaochan tilted her head and looked at Chao Qiu. Is it delicious? Chao Chio's mouth froze and he thought, I really won't eavesdrop. Han Fei thought for a while. After all, he could win this time because of Chao Chio's 2 ancient jades. That thing was extremely precious, and not everyone could have a blow from a peak-level hidden fisher. That sea demon was only a junior hidden fisher. After being poisoned and hit at close range, he died. Han Fei said, Senior brother, it doesn't matter. Just don't talk about the important things. Wang Dashui chuckled. It's not a big deal. It's just that your senior brother and senior sister have a lot of enemies outside. If you don't hide your identity, you may get into trouble when you go out. Everyone looked at each other and understood. Just like when they were in the level 3 fishery, they caused a lot of trouble and were hunted by the whole fishery. It was normal for them to be implicated. Chao Chio muttered. He had checked the Thug Academy when he went back. Unfortunately, he only found that the Thug Academy used to be very powerful. However, most of the information had long been erased and couldn't be found at all. Now it seemed that this school was not simple. The people who came out seemed to be very powerful. Han Fei was wondering if he should ask Wang Dashui about the boneyard. But on second thought, he hadn't even found old Jiang yet. Why would he ask about the boneyard? In the end, under the strong condemnation of everyone, Han Fei was asked to keep a low profile in the future. After the meal, they didn't stay long. Since Han Fei was fine, they could go back. Xia Xiaochan hadn't left, and neither had Chao Chio. At this moment, both Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan were staring at him. Chao Chio looked dumbfounded. Why are you looking at me? Han Fei said grumpily. Why are you still here? Are you going to stay with us when we are in love? Chao Chio suddenly understood. Oh, then I'm leaving. Smack. After Chao Chio left, Han Fei was slapped on the back. He looked back, only to see Xia Xiaochan glaring at him fiercely. Are you bold now? You haven't even become a hanging fisher yet, but you provoked a hidden fisher? Han Fei was speechless. I didn't. They came to me. Xia Xiaochan scoffed. When you took the big starfish away, I felt something was wrong. I asked you, and you said it was fine. Han Fei scoffed. It was fine. If you don't believe me, ask Master Hexagon. At this moment, the hexagon starfish clung to Xia Xiaochan's shoulder. Yes. Starfish almost died. Han Fei was angry. Don't you know how to talk? Can you be a little more sensible? Xia Xiaochan snorted. Forget it, can you still fight now? Han Fei froze for a moment. What's wrong? I can fight. Xia Xiaochan blushed slightly. Then take me to a place to fight. I feel. Han Fei's face changed. Are you going to have an attack? Xia Xiaochan nodded. After coming to the Scattered Stars Island, I almost had an attack several times. However, it wasn't very strong. I'm going to break out all at once. Han Fei couldn't help but take a breath. Wait, can you control the time of your attack? Xia Xiaochan tilted her head. I can barely suppress it. Once I stop suppressing it, it may break out. I can't suppress it for the next 2 days, so I may have to fight. Han Fei looked serious. He immediately put aside the thought of dating. Let's go to the skeleton shore with me. Xia Xiaochan was surprised. Didn't a big battle just take place there? It's because a big battle has just taken place that it's safe. 2 hours later, Han Fei lay panting in the door of the hexagon starfish, casting the divine healing technique on himself, one after another. Han Fei muttered, You're too strong, aren't you? Now that you have an attack, all you take out are divine weapons, and you destroyed 8 sets of my ultra-quality battle suits. Xia Xiaochan squatted beside Han Fei aggrievely. Then, does it hurt? Han Fei coughed. Hurt? Of course. It hurts. Han Fei couldn't help but think of the battle just now. Xia Xiaochan's strength had improved even faster. After breaking through to a junior hanging fisher, Xia Xiaochan's combat power was no less than that of a peak-level hanging fisher when she used the divine dagger. Of course, the main reason was the pair of divine weapons. If Xia Xiaochan had a pair of ultra-quality spiritual daggers, she wouldn't have been so embarrassed. Her stomach had been stabbed 7 times, and there were no less than 50 wounds all over her body. It was all thanks to him. If it were someone else, such as that idiot rival in love, Gong Wenhai, he would definitely have been stabbed to death by Xia Xiaochan. Xia Xiaochan reached out her hand in embarrassment. Then, I'll give you a massage cough. Well, Girl, give me a kiss. It can also relieve the pain. In your dreams, since Xia Xiaochan gradually mastered certain things about love, it was not easy to cheat her anymore. She was not as simple and easy to kidnap as she used to be. If he had known this earlier, he would have taken a step further, and he wouldn't have been so passive now. Han Fei couldn't help but feel sorry. What a big loss. Alas, Xia Xiaochan suddenly sighed. I don't know why, but recently my cultivation has become more and more smooth. I feel that my strength is growing rapidly. I should be able to break through to an intermediate hanging fissure in less than 2 months. Han Fei was speechless and almost vomited blood. Listen, is this even human? I've tried my best, but I barely made a breakthrough. Even if I had a chance, I still haven't been able to break through to a hanging fissure. You, on the other hand, actually complained that your cultivation speed was a little too fast. Han Fei gritted his teeth. Then it seems that I have to break through to a hanging fissure as soon as possible. Otherwise, in another 2 months, if you have an attack, I'm afraid you'll hack me to death. Xia Xiaochan squatted on the ground, holding her chin with one hand, unhappy. Han Fei said, "Close your eyes." Xia Xiaochan shrank back. "I won't," Han Fei said with a smile. "I have a gift for you." Xia Xiaochan asked, "Really? Close your eyes first." "Oh, Han Fei, you are shameless." Han Fei laughed. "Kiss me if you can. I'll kill you." After a while, Han Fei lay on the ground. "Okay, stop it. I really have a gift." With that, Han Fei took out about 500 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. This time, he actually obtained less than 5,000 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. The mermaid also lied to him. Her sea-swallowing seashell only contained more than 3,000 caddies. However, Han Fei was already satisfied. This thing was not cabbage, so 3,000 caddies was not a small amount. Xia Xiaochan was shocked. "Huh? Spirit awakening fluid?" Han Fei handed it over and said, "I got it from a sea monster. Otherwise, why do you think I fought that battle?" Xia Xiaochan was stunned, but didn't take it. She said, "I can't use it now." "Huh? Why?" Xia Xiaochan said, "As I said, my strength is growing very fast now. I need to suppress it. If you give me the spirit awakening fluid, how can I suppress it?" Han Fei was suspicious. "Maybe it can suppress your illness?" Xia Xiaochan shook her head. "It can't. I drank a lot of spirit awakening fluid last time, but it didn't help at all. On the contrary, it seems to be able to promote my strength faster." Xia Xiaochan didn't want it. The hexagon starfish quickly said, "You don't want it, but I want it." Starfish wants it. Starfish is in urgent need of spirit awakening fluid now. I think I can make a breakthrough now. Han Fei was speechless and frowned. "You want it? You want everything. For the sake of your contribution, I'll give you 200 caddies first. Don't drink too much." Chapter 649. When Xia Xiaochan left, she was going to leave the hexagon starfish behind. She felt that Han Fei was the troublemaker. But Han Fei refused on the grounds that he would be monitored for a while, and it was inconvenient to take Mr. Hexagon Starfish with him. As for the spirit awakening fluid, although it was good stuff, Xia Xiaochan didn't want it. In her words, she needed to suppress her realm. In the camp on the skeleton shore, when Han Fei returned, many people swarmed up to him. Wu Xiaoxiao asked, "Captain, you're finally back?" Yu Lingyun exclaimed, "Huh, Captain, your strength seems to have improved a bit too fast." Someone said, "Captain, are you okay? I heard that you were seriously injured in the battle a few days ago." Han Fei smiled. "I'm fine. I'm back safely, aren't I? Come on, it's time to collect interest. I was seriously injured this time and spent a lot of money. Everyone, hurry up and pay back the money. I'm going to buy medicine." At the mention of interest, everyone's faces immediately turned gloomy. Now, the members of the 8th Battalion were all well off. They were all so poor that they didn't even dare to go out on their days off and only dared to scavenge in the sea. Han Fei grinned and laughed. This time, it was more daunting than dangerous, and he had gained huge benefits. Not to mention the spirit awakening fluid. The interest he collected this time was enough to make Han Fei's heart ache. And this didn't include the honor points from the previous battle. After a while, his credit points would soon exceed 2 million. Although it was still far from 8 million points, it would accumulate. However, many a little makes a mickle. By the time almost everyone had repaid their debts, they would have enough points. After collecting the points, Han Fei said with a smile, "You're dismissed. Recently, we have to observe carefully and can't slack off. Yuling Yun, come with me." In the woods, Yuling Yun asked, "Captain, what's the matter?" Han Fei asked, "Tell me, what happened after that day?" Yuling Yun was stunned for a moment and immediately said, "Captain, after you sent a message to all the members to attack that day, we actually didn't fight for long. Because the highest alarm was issued, reinforcements came quickly. Nearly 20,000 people entered the sea and fought unstoppably, almost wiping out the sea creatures on the skeleton shore." Han Fei took a breath. "I'm not asking about that. What I'm asking is, after that day, did any experts come to investigate?" Yuling Yun looked at Han Fei and nodded solemnly. "Yes, and more than once. Especially the area where you fought. The day after that, it was marked as a forbidden area, and there were people searching for something there." Han Fei was lost in thought. He didn't tell anyone about the half-mermaids, but others might know. Experts could infer the battlefield from the aftermath of the battle. Han Fei wasn't sure whether the half-mermaid had been discovered or not. However, even if someone came to ask, he could just say that the other party had run away. Anyway, it was impossible for them to find the mermaid's body. Besides, Chao Chio's ancient jade was so powerful that the half-mermaid was killed before it had a chance to exert its power. There shouldn't be many traces left. Chao Chio was still studying his poison god. When he saw Han Fei, the first thing Chao Chio said was, "Did the poison god work?" Han Fei thought for a moment. After the poison god wrapped the half-mermaid, the latter was swallowing its internal organs. He had seen it with his own eyes, so he nodded. "I saw it. The god of poison is indeed more domineering than the king of poison." Chao Chio asked, "But it takes time, right?" Han Fei was confused. "Huh." Chao Chio rubbed his head. "I've thought about it. It takes time for the poison to take effect. In the face of a strong expert, there is no poison that can seal the throat. So, I just tried to adjust the formula of the poison god." Han Fei frowned. "Did you adjust it again?" Chao Chio grinned. "But I added the chaotic spirit grass in it. After the poison god enters the body, it will quickly explode and scatter. In this way, the poison effect can be quickly detonated." The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. "Take your time to study it. I brought you a gift." Chao Chio asked, "What?" Han Fei took out 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid and gave it to him. This was found on the sea demons. There are 1,000 kilograms in total. Let's split it in half. After all, what really killed them was the powerful attack sealed in the ancient jade. Chao Chio's eyes widened. Spirit awakening fluid? 500 kilograms? Isn't that equivalent to 5 million points? For Chao Chio, he was not short of money, but he was seriously short of points. He didn't fight, so he didn't have a source of points. And there was very little spirit awakening fluid on the market, most of which could only be exchanged with points. As a result, spirit awakening fluid couldn't be bought even if he had money. No matter how powerful the Chao family was in the Thousand Star City, it was not easy for one person to get 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid. This was impossible. At this moment, Chao Chio grinned from ear to ear. 500 kilograms. Maybe I could be reborn once. Han Fei asked in surprise, "What do you mean by rebirth? Don't you know?" Han Fei. Chao Chio was speechless. "You don't know? Spirit awakening fluid. It is said that if you take it, you can nourish your body for a long time and slowly refine yourself into a flawless body. There is even a certain chance that it will promote the growth of your spiritual heritage." "That's amazing." Han Fei frowned. "Is it that amazing? If it's really so powerful, wouldn't the sea demons have already cultivated peerless sea demons? Wouldn't it be a piece of cake to attack the Scattered Stars Island?" Chao Chio chuckled. "I don't know. Let me try it first." Han Fei didn't feel bad about giving the spirit awakening fluid to Chao Chio. Although this little fatty refused to fight, he had a lot of good stuff on him. As the saying went, it was not difficult to borrow again. Han Fei didn't want to let go of this guy. Han Fei said, "Well, Ball, do you still have that ancient jade? Give me another one." Chao Chio immediately shrank his body. No, I can't give it to you now. What if you made trouble again?" Han Fei was a little surprised. This time Grass Ball's attitude was quite resolute. He thought that after a while, he would find another way to fool him. That was a powerful life-saving means. After chatting with Chao Chio for a while, Han Fei entered his hut. After setting up a concealment array, Han Fei did not summon Little Black and Little White, but took out a bottle of spirit awakening fluid and began to drink it. Today, when fighting with Xia Xiaochan, Han Fei discovered one thing. When the gap between realms was getting bigger and bigger, he was indeed not so strong. He had to break through to the Hanging Fisher realm as soon as possible so that he wouldn't be so passive in terms of combat power and other comprehensive aspects. After drinking 10 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid in one breath, Han Fei only felt that his head was dizzy, as if he were drunk, as if he was in a fog. In front of him, a flash of black light flashed and disappeared without a trace. Black light? Black and light were rebellious words. Black was darkness, and light was light. It was impossible for these two to appear at the same time. But at that moment, Han Fei clearly felt it. However, before he thought too much, Han Fei felt refreshed, as if a spring breeze and drizzle had brushed his heart. Han Fei felt that his meridians were numb, and wisps of dense emerald green were fusing into his flesh and bones. Han Fei magically discovered that his physique seemed to be changing slightly. This feeling was similar to the feeling when he swallowed a spiritual fruit for the first time. Because his physique was too poor, his body was being cleansed. The effect of 10 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid soon dissipated, and Han Fei immediately swallowed a few more kilograms without hesitation. Then, Han Fei discovered a strange phenomenon. His upper limit of spiritual energy, which had reached 7,912 points, was slowly decreasing, slowly becoming 7,900 points, 7,850 points, 7,800 points. When the upper limit of spiritual energy was reduced to 7,800 points, Han Fei didn't feel that his physique had become weaker, but that his control of power and spiritual energy tolerance seemed to be a little better than before. Immediately afterward, the data began to rise. After taking 50 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei's data had risen to 7,900 points again. After taking 100 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei's data had reached 7,980 points. The last point seemed to be particularly difficult. After consuming another 100 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid, Han Fei suddenly found that he had reached the level of a peak-level dangling fisher, and his upper limit of spiritual energy was stuck at 7,999 points. Wow, can I make a breakthrough? Han Fei was a little stunned. Before, when he obtained spirit awakening fluid, he gave it all to Little Black. At that time, because the quantity was relatively small, he was reluctant to use it himself. But now, Han Fei found that the effect seemed to be even better when used by humans. Immediately, Han Fei practiced the 108 desolate god body again, only to find that the feeling of body tempering was slightly better. Besides, the upper limit of spiritual energy didn't change at all. Sure enough, the spirit awakening fluid, just like the swallowed spirit soup, can directly improve my physique. Han Fei was very sure that it was not this spirit awakening fluid that could directly improve his realm, but the spirit awakening fluid was changing his physique. Although he swallowed 200 kilograms, his upper limit of spiritual energy was only pushed to 7,999 points. However, this change was caused by the change in his physique. And now, after Han Fei broke through to a peak-level dangling fisher, it seemed that he was about to break through again in just a few days. This seemed a little too fast. Forget it. Let's wait for half a month. Han Fei didn't choose to make a breakthrough immediately. He had just been caught by the Scattered Star Prison and must be watched. In the eyes of others, breaking through to a peak-level dangling fisher was a piece of cake. However, if he made a breakthrough in less than 3 days, it would be suspicious in the eyes of those who were observant. Chapter 650. A month later. There was only a small fish tide on the skeleton shore during this period, and nothing major happened. Every day, everyone still scavenged and hunted in the sea day and night. In order to pay back the money, everyone devoted all their energy to earn points. During this period, although some people died, the number was very few, only less than 5 people. In a place like the Scattered Stars Island, this mortality rate seemed to be extremely low. And in the 8th Battalion, the richest one should be Han Fei. Han Fei probably had nearly 6 million points, which was not far from his 8 million points. This morning, many people met to go to sea. All of a sudden, the spiritual energy within a radius of dozens of kilometers gathered towards the skeleton shore camp like a tide. Someone made a breakthrough. Something's wrong. Did someone become an advanced hanging fisher? No. Isn't the place where the spiritual energy is gathering where Captain Han lives? Let's go and have a look. Yu Lingyun, Wu Xiao, and the others were already standing in the place where Han Fei lived. At this moment, Wu Xiao asked expectantly, Sister Lingyun, how strong do you think Captain will be if he makes a breakthrough? Yu Lingyun nodded seriously. No one in the 8th Battalion can stop him. Leng Hui nodded. Very strong. The surrounding spiritual energy is sweeping over. This doesn't look like the momentum of a breakthrough. Gu Daliang held his armor box. Captain's physique is really desirable. But what they didn't know was that Han Fei had to pretend for this breakthrough. Every time he made a breakthrough, he needed a huge amount of spiritual energy. He needed to attract the surrounding spiritual energy through a spirit-gathering array to cover up the spiritual energy that was constantly pouring out of Forge the Universe. After half an hour, the spiritual energy was still there. Han Fei had consumed nearly 5 million points of spiritual energy, and the barrier of the breakthrough was right in front of him. Han Fei lost a lot of weight, so he had to swallow 2 mouthfuls of candle dragon blood to stabilize the process of the breakthrough. Crack! With a crisp cracking sound, the surrounding spiritual energy vibrated, and Han Fei's body seemed to have become a dry river. 3 high-quality spiritual stones were broken in a row before he could barely support the supply of spiritual energy. Han Fei was different from others. Perhaps because the void fishing art that he practiced was of a high level, he consumed a lot of spiritual energy when he made a breakthrough. Besides, making a breakthrough with the void fishing art was not as simple as just making a breakthrough. This cultivation technique seemed to want to completely stabilize the realm of the cultivator after the breakthrough and finish it all in one go. As a result, not only could Han Fei not stop devouring spiritual energy, but he also had to continue to supply it. Many people in the outside world cried out in surprise. Didn't Captain Han make a breakthrough? Why hasn't the vortex of spiritual energy stopped? Someone guessed. It must be a high-level cultivation technique. After the breakthrough, you still have to stabilize your body. Yu Lingyun roared. Nobody is allowed to peek or affect the captain's breakthrough. Yu Lingyun informed everybody telepathically. After all, making a sound was very likely to affect Han Fei. But Yu Lingyun didn't know that he could hear Yu Lingyun's voice at this moment. I can eavesdrop on others? This was the first thought in Han Fei's mind. Before he was surprised, Han Fei suddenly found that his supply of spiritual energy was slowly weakening. Immediately, he focused on introspection and then was shocked to find that the originally extremely smooth spiritual energy began to become viscous. After about 10 minutes, Han Fei let out a sigh of relief. It turned out that it wasn't that the spiritual energy became viscous, but that the spiritual energy had turned into spiritual liquid in his body. Han Fei couldn't help but think of what Xiao Zhan and Wenrinyu said. Dangling fishers were only low-level cultivators, and hanging fishers were the beginning of cultivation. Could it be that this breakthrough started from the transformation of spiritual energy into spiritual liquid? This state of spiritual energy liquefaction lasted about half an hour. For this breakthrough, Han Fei consumed about 8 million points of spiritual energy in total. When everything calmed down, Han Fei immediately looked at his data. Owner Han Fei, level greater than 42, Junior hanging fisher. Spiritual energy greater than 146,655, 9001. Spiritual power 1501. Perception range greater than 9,999 meters. Spiritual heritage level 5. High quality spiritual beast twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish level 38. Main art void breaking technique. Volume 4 of Void Fishing demon level divine quality. How can I be level 42? When Han Fei saw the number 42, he was stunned. It shouldn't be. According to his past experience, he should be level 43 at this moment, reaching the peak of a junior hanging fisher. But obviously, the current situation didn't seem right. Yes, he was a junior hanging fisher, but he was much weaker than level 42. Besides, the upper limit of his spiritual energy had become 9,001 points, an increase of 1,002 points. But Han Fei still felt that something was wrong. Logically speaking, after his breakthrough, his spiritual energy should have increased a lot. But now this data didn't make Han Fei feel that it had increased a lot. And when he compared his realm and level, Han Fei's heart sank. The advantage of rapid breakthroughs in void fishing was probably gone. The so-called level 42 was probably just level 42 after he stabilized himself at level 41. However, Han Fei didn't panic. After all, this was how Xia Xiaochan and the others grew up. In a single small realm, the growth speed should be relatively fast. He would know this after trying it in the future. In Han Fei's opinion, his spiritual power had increased greatly. Not only did he break a barrier, but he also seemed to have grown a little more than he imagined. In this way, he could continue to absorb soul crystals or the god-scaring painting. This was good news. When facing the half-mermaid, Han Fei found that the other party's perception range was larger than his. It could be said that under the attack of such a strong master, whoever had a larger perception range would have the upper hand. This was indisputable. Therefore, Han Fei knew that he had to include soul crystals in his purchase plan. This gave Han Fei a headache. He hadn't bought the million poison fruit yet, and now he needed soul crystals. This would cost more than 10 million points of credit. In this month, he had already used up all the Spirit Awakening fluid, except for the 200 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid that he used. Little Gold upgraded by 3 levels and reached level 38. Ninetails upgraded by 1 level and reached level 38. Little Black and Little White upgraded by 2 levels and reached level 38. Little Fatty was fed 200 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid, but its level didn't change. It was still level 38. Just these few guys had consumed about 2,800 caddies of Spirit Awakening fluid. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. It turned out that the Scattered Stars Island was the most expensive place. Of course, after spending a huge amount of money and countless costs, the benefits Han Fei got were also extremely obvious. They were all real combat power. At least, as far as Han Fei was concerned, he couldn't defeat all the hanging fishers, but most ordinary people should be no match for him. As for those geniuses, they would be suppressed by him sooner or later. However, Han Fei had only been on the Scattered Stars Island for more than 2 months. Time was still short, so he wasn't in a hurry. When would he be able to push Little Black and Little White to level 40 and get some unknown inheritances? Then his strength would reach the level of an advanced hanging fisher. If he could also get a divine weapon, then he would really have a foothold on the Scattered Stars Island. As for now, he still stayed on the island and couldn't even enter the sea, because if he went in, he might not be able to come out. In a treehouse, Han Fei was eavesdropping on other people's voice transmissions. Someone said, "Hey, what's the background of this Han Fei? Isn't his growth too fast? From an advanced dangling fisher to a hanging fisher in 2 months, it's amazing." Someone responded, "Don't forget, he is a body cultivator. That's what's really scary about him." Someone said to her via voice transmission, "Exine, what do you think if I find a time to drug Han Fei and knock him out?" "What? If I drug him and then sleep with him, won't he become my man?" Puff. Cough, cough. In the treehouse, Han Fei choked on his own words. What the hell are these people doing? It's too dangerous. Boys nowadays have to protect themselves at all times. Since he had spoken, Han Fei naturally came out. Han Fei said with a smile, "Ha, I had an epiphany this morning and made a breakthrough by luck. By luck. Congratulations, Captain Han. You have become a hanging fisher." Han Fei, your breakthrough speed is too fast. Captain Han, I've observed you. Your temperament has changed. Han Fei said with a smile. It's useless no matter how nice you say it. I know many of you have almost paid off your debts. Is there anyone else who wants to refine ultra-quality spiritual weapons? I'm free now. The price is as before. Immediately, many people fell silent and thought to themselves, this guy is tempting us again. Many people hadn't paid off their debts yet. They said with a wry smile, Captain Han, let us accumulate more. The materials, spiritual spring, and credit points we have accumulated are still far from enough. Han Fei smiled. Don't worry. By the way, I will go to the refining hall in a few days. If anything happens on the skeleton shore, remember to find me in the refining hall. Wu Xiaoxiao said, Captain, you haven't taken us out to sea for a long time. Han Fei was taken aback. Ah, really? It's hard to be a captain. I'm busy with chores. When I come back, I will take you to sweep the skeleton shore. But now, if you have something to do, take Chao Chio with you. He will take my place first. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 651. In a refining hall, Han Fei was bargaining with a shopping guide. Look, I'm a 3-star refiner. It's not too much for me to rent a refining room and a booth, right? The shopping guide was amused. But, Mr. Refiner, do you have to hang this cloth? If you hang this cloth, other refiners will definitely have a problem with it. Han Fei pulled the cloth in his hand. Let's compete fairly. Is there a problem with my cloth? The shopping guide was speechless. You call no problem? Look at what you wrote. What is it called? One-stop refining and spirit sealing, with a 30% discount every day. If you hang this up, how can other people do business? Suddenly, Han Fei stealthily said, What do you think about this? How much can you make in a day? 100 high-quality pearls? 200. I'll charge you 500. Okay? Now I'll pay you 1,000 a day to hire you. How about that? The shopping guide opened his mouth. How much? Han Fei grinned. 1,000 high-quality pearls a day. You heard me right. As long as you hang this cloth on the door for me, no one is allowed to take it off. Han Fei was persuading impatiently. How much was 1,000 high-quality pearls? A lot of people wanted to earn this salary. He was not sure of money now, but credit points. Besides, an ultra-quality spiritual weapon was worth more than 10,000 mid-quality pearls. Sealing a spirit would cost at least 20,000. If the level of sealing a spirit was slightly higher, it would be 34,000 or 40,000. He didn't need this money at all. Han Fei said with a smile, How about it? Do you want to consider it? The shopping guide immediately took a breath. Okay, then I'll guard your door. Han Fei immediately grinned. Okay, for every customer you help me attract, I'll give you 100 high-quality pearls as a commission. If you can attract 100, I'll give you 10,000 high-quality pearls as a commission, and your salary will be calculated separately. The shopping guide immediately took another breath, grabbed the cloth in Han Fei's hand, and said solemnly, As long as the customer is here, the cloth will be here. Han Fei grinned. Good, then I'll wait for someone in the refining room. Han Fei went into the refining room, cleaned up the refining table with a smile, filled the vat with spiritual spring, and looked at the walls. They seemed to be a little empty. Immediately, he hung his battle suit, long saber, brick, water-dividing seal, blue sea wandering dragon dagger, blue sea wandering dragon rod, blood-drinking saber, and so on. They were all supreme-grade spirit artifacts with sealed spirits, so their grades should not be low. After cleaning up, Han Fei sat down in the room and closed his eyes to rest, quietly waiting for the first customer to come in. Han Fei was in the room and had no idea what was going on outside. After all, this place was shielded from perception. At this moment, outside the crafting room, in less than a quarter of an hour, a circle of people had gathered outside. At this moment, the shop assistant was already surrounded. Someone asked, How many stars is the refiner inside? You're so awesome, and you're even offering a 30% discount? Someone squeezed through the doorway. Is the one inside really that cheap? Someone shouted, line up, line up. The shop assistant was also a little confused. Although she knew that there would be a lot of people coming once the sign was hung up, she still didn't know what to do. Wasn't a bit too enthusiastic? Were people so rich nowadays? Immediately, the shop assistant said, wait a minute. I'll go in and ask. Seeing the seal move, Han Fei grinned and said, welcome, welcome. What do you want? Huh? Why are you here? Is there no one here? It shouldn't be. Is it because you hung the banner in the wrong way? No, let me do it myself. No, the shop assistant said with a bitter smile. Well, Master Han Fei, there are too many people outside. How are you going to choose? You can't let all of them in at once, can you? Han Fei was taken aback and then said excitedly, really? Are there many people? Then call them all in. What's the matter with letting the guests stand outside? Huh? The shop assistant was stunned. All of them in? Can you refine all of them? Han Fei immediately said, I can collect the money in advance. Why can't I refine all of them? Immediately, Han Fei hurriedly urged, call them in first. The shop assistant was speechless and thought to himself, even refiners don't refine in this way. A 3-star refiner, even if he is a spiritual energy refiner, can refine at most 10 weapons a day. How confident is this person to dare to call all of them in? So, after a while, a group of people filed in. Outside, more than 20 people rushed in, and some people were still squeezing in. Han Fei immediately said with a smile, welcome, everyone, welcome. Someone was surprised. Such a young 3-star refiner? Wow, little brother, are you a 3-star refiner? Han Fei smiled and pointed to the 3-star refiner certificate hanging on his waist. I'm the real deal. If you can't refine it, it's free. If you can't refine it, it's free. If you can't seal a spirit, it's free. Everyone, what do you want to refine? Immediately, someone shouted, don't push. I came here first. Line up, line up. Immediately, someone pushed forward. What do you mean you came here first? I came in with you. Someone said, I'm the third to come in. I'm the fourth. I'm the fifth. Those who came to the refining hall basically knew that a refiner's energy was limited. Han Fei's offer of 30% discount was simply too *king attractive. But Han Fei raised his hand and said, everyone, don't worry. Here's how I do it. You can ask me to refine a weapon, and you can usually get it on the same day. But everyone, refining here is very simple. I only accept points, not high-quality pearls. Also, you have to bring your own creatures that need to be sealed. When everything is ready, you can line up outside. It only takes half an hour, and you can take an ultra-quality spiritual weapon home. What? Half an hour? Wow, how can it be so fast? Know this? Master, are you sure? Master, why don't you refine one for us to see? Han Fei bragged too much. Half an hour? Do you think you can refine a low-quality spiritual weapon? Han Fei grinned. He was already ready, so he immediately said, come on, who wants to try first? I can demonstrate it to you on the spot. Me. Han Fei directly grabbed a soul warrior. Come on, it's you. Will you provide the materials yourself, or shall I provide them? With that, Han Fei waved his hand, and a large pile of materials piled up like a hill, all of which were ultra-quality materials. Immediately, someone took a breath. He's really rich. Although there was no shortage of ultra-quality materials on the Scattered Stars Island. However, he took out so many at once. Was he really a human being? Han Fei felt very comfortable. Before, when he refined weapons for the people of the 8th Battalion, most of them gave him 2 sets of materials. But he didn't need 2 sets of materials to refine weapons himself. So he just refined 1 set and kept the other. He kept them and kept them. In the end, he had nearly 300 sets. Han Fei looked at the soul warrior with a smile. So, will you use my materials or your materials? The soul warrior froze for a moment. What's the difference? Han Fei chuckled. If you use my materials, I'll also give you a 30% discount on the material cost. You need to give me 3 sets of materials, right? I don't need it. I'll give you 2 sets of materials and give you a 30% discount. After I use up this batch of materials, I won't get this discount. Wow, Immediately, someone's eyes turned red. Hey, if you don't want it, I'll take it. Someone squeezed forward. I have points, I have points. Master, I'll refine 2 at a time. Master, I'll refine 3 at a time. Master, I'll give you points first. Han Fei was very excited, but he had to pretend to be calm on the surface. But Han Fei stopped him. Everyone has a share. I still have a lot of materials, and you all have this discount. So, big brother, are you going to use my material or your own? The man immediately said, Of course, I'll use yours. Han Fei immediately grinned. Okay, do you want to go next door and buy a creature that can seal souls? Later, I'll seal it. The man was taken aback and then hurriedly said, Wait a moment. I'll be right there. Very soon. After saying that, the man rushed out with a whoosh. This man said it was fast, and it only took him less than 5 minutes to carry back a giant feathered horseshoe scorpion, a level 43 big scorpion. Han Fei immediately beamed with joy. This price was not low. Even if there was a 30% discount, it would still cost 40,000 points. What a profit. Ahem. Everyone, please step back. Hearing this, everyone stepped back, and Han Fei asked, What are you going to refine? The man immediately said, A spear. I'm going to refine a long spear, a little taller and heavier than me. Han Fei immediately smiled and said, Okay. Han Fei immediately waved his hand, and 8 kinds of materials were grabbed from the pile of materials by him, and spiritual energy instantly enveloped these materials. In everyone's stunned gaze, the materials were melting rapidly, and the spiritual energy was faintly burning. Immediately afterward, in less than 5 minutes, everyone saw a large amount of impurities dripping from the air. In a moment, the materials in the turbulent spiritual energy mass emitted a faint luster. 5 minutes passed in a flash. All the materials had entered the fusion stage. Although everyone was surprised by Han Fei's fast refining speed, no one dared to make a sound, and all widened their eyes. In another 5 minutes, the long spear was condensed, and the body of the spear looked quite thick. There were layers of whorls on it, and there were vivid fish and insect carvings. The tip of the spear was sharp, and there was a trace of dark red at the tip. When the spiritual energy dissipated, the long spear was completed. The tip of the spear was dazzling, and the luster was as clear as a mirror, extremely sharp. Han Fei grabbed the spear with one hand and poured spiritual energy into it. The luster of an ultra-quality spiritual weapon immediately illuminated the entire refining room. Wow, that's it? Isn't this too fast? So fast. It's the first time I've seen someone refining so fast. Someone immediately said, Master, may I know your name? Han Fei grinned. You flatter me. I am Han Fei, one of the 3 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island, together with Mu Jia, and Guan Xingyan. Someone once said that the 3 of us are the 3 rising stars in the refining world of the Scattered Stars Island. Once, I was the brightest one among them. Ahem. The group of people was dumbfounded. Is this a compliment? Someone said to Han Fei via voice transmission. Although he is a bit shameless, his refining speed is indeed fast. Someone responded, He's a genius. It's normal to be a little conceited. Hello, Master Han. Genius Han. Is it my turn next? Brother Han, are you going to show me the spirit sealing technique next? Han Fei sighed. Everyone, I may not be able to show you the spirit sealing technique. This is a secret of the Han family, and it can't be seen by outsiders. Everyone, please wait for me outside for a moment. I'll be ready soon. Second, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 652. Han Fei had achieved his goal. The refining hall had always been short of refiners, let alone one as fast as Han Fei. A supreme-grade spirit weapon could be refined in minutes. Who would be able to hold themselves back? The level of the Scattered Stars Island was much higher than that of the Level 3 fishery. However, supreme-grade spiritual weapons were still mainstream, and there were also methods to seal spirits in them. Weapons were much stronger than superior-quality spiritual weapons. As for the Level 3 fishery, how many people had ultra-quality spiritual weapons? Over there, mid, and low-grade spiritual weapons were the mainstream, and they were even unsealed. Because the refiners who were capable of sealing souls were not in the level 3 fishery at all. They were either on the Scattered Stars Island or in the Thousand Star City. Only these two places can make money. Han Fei didn't dare to show off too much, and it took him 5 minutes to walk out of the door. Han Fei was holding a spear in his hand. Come on, it's sealed. Feel it. Han Fei threw the spear in his hand to the Soul Warrior. The latter excitedly injected spiritual energy, and immediately a dazzling light appeared on the tip of the spear. It was the stinger of the giant feathered horseshoe crab. In the eyes of the crowd, not only the stinger, but even the spear radiance also emitted several stingers. That was the effect of the other stingers on the giant feathered horseshoe crab's tail. The body of the spear shone brilliantly, dazzling and moving. Hiss! It's done. So fast. Spirit sealing can actually be this fast? The Soul Warrior grinned from ear to ear. However, before he could pay, a group of people had already rushed over. Grandmaster Han, it's my turn. I have enough points. Grandmaster Han. I was the first to arrive. Don't fight, I'm being squeezed. The passers-by all turned to look at them. Someone couldn't help but ask, who is this? One-stop shop for weapon forging and spirit sealing. A special 30% discount every day. What a crazy sign. The person who was pulled said warily, don't even think about cutting the queue. This spot is mine. Han Fei said, please line up in order, one by one. But please move aside. Let me collect the money first. When he got 40,000 points, Han Fei smiled. In the field of refining, it was indeed profitable, earning money from one's grandma's house. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. How could there be such a profitable thing in the world? It was as if it had fallen from the sky. Half a day later, the refining hall on the west side of the Scattered Stars Island was already overcrowded. In front of refining room number 18, it was already too crowded. Outside the refining hall, someone passed by and couldn't help but ask, hey, brother, what's wrong with the refining hall today? Why are there so many people? Someone replied, it's said that a master of refining has come. He's a one-stop shop for refining and sealing weapons. He's offering a 30% discount every day. This person's forging speed is extremely fast, and his forging quality is also good. He can get the weapon on the spot. Really? Why would I lie to you? It's full. Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan just got the news. Guan Qingyan was immersed in designing weapons. He was wondering if engraving arrays on weapons could refine semi-divine weapons. He did not have high hopes for a divine weapon. To forge a divine weapon, first of all, one needed good materials. Secondly, the technique was a problem. Then, it was time to seal the spirit. The level of the living creature had to be high. If he wanted to blaze a new trail, he would have to take an unusual path. Many great refiners had begun to study forging and tempering methods. They had tempered the materials to the extreme, but they still hadn't refined a divine weapon. Guan Qingyan was tempted by this, and he was determined to study arrays. Suddenly, Mu Jia rushed over shouting, Guan Qingyan, little Guan Guan. Something bad has happened. Guan Qingyan didn't even raise his head and responded indifferently, don't disturb me. Mu Jia didn't care. She directly grabbed Guan Qingyan's clothes. Let's go. I heard that there is a refining madman in the refining hall. His success rate is 100%, and he has never failed, even in spirit sealing. Guan Qingyan raised his head suspiciously. 100%? Mu Jia nodded. Yes. It must be a 5-star refiner who is refining weapons. It seems to be refining on the spot. Let's go and have a look. Guan Qingyan's expression changed. 5-star refiner? Let's go. When the two hurried to the refining hall, they were dumbfounded. There was already a long line outside the refining hall, and hundreds of people were waiting outside. Mu Jia was dumbfounded. Are these people sick? Even if he is a 5-star refiner, how can he be so fast? With so many people waiting, when will he finish refining? Guan Qingyan nodded solemnly. He is undoubtedly a master. The two were about to go in, when a staff member came out of the refining hall. Everyone, our refining hall has communicated with Master Han. Master Han will only refine 300 weapons this time. Therefore, Those whose number is less than 300 can go back first. You can come back next time when Master Han opens his altars again. Master Han, Mujia, and Guan Qingyan glanced at each other and said at the same time, Han Fei. Mujia said hesitantly, Impossible. How long has it been since that guy got the 3-star refiner certificate? Guan Qingyan's expression changed slightly. Why not? You and I have seen Brother Han refining weapons. His speed is so fast that few people can match him. Mujia said unhappily, I'll go in and have a look. Why is he giving me a 30% discount? Mujia and Guan Qingyan were both 3-star refiners and refining geniuses, so they didn't have to wait in line to enter the refining hall. However, when the two entered, they saw a long line all the way to the door of a creature grocery store. The dozens of people in the front, each with a creature tied up, were waiting quietly. When Mujia and Guan Qingyan appeared, someone immediately exclaimed, It's Mujia and Guan Qingyan, who are called the 3 genius refiners together with Master Han. Mujia was taken aback and said to the man, Who is called the 3 genius refiners together with us? The man grinned. Of course it's Master Han. By the way, Miss Mu, can you give me a 30% discount? If you give me a 30% discount, I'll go to your place right now. Mujia bared her teeth. I won't. Mujia ran to the door excitedly and was about to rush in. The shop assistant was about to stop her, but a hand had already held Mujia down. Guan Qingyan said lightly, Reckless. Then Guan Qingyan said to the shop assistant, Please go in and tell Brother Han that we are here. The shop assistant sucked in a deep breath. These 2 genius blacksmiths were here. Could it be that they were here to cause trouble? Okay, please wait a moment. Indoors, Han Fei was eating dried fish. Sealing souls was an extremely fast thing for him. During this period, he could take a break and eat some snacks. Seeing the shop assistant come in, Han Fei immediately stuffed the dried fish in his mouth. Why are you here? The shop assistant was also taken aback. Isn't he sealing souls? However, she didn't ask much and just said respectfully, Master Han, Mr. and Master Guan are here. Han Fei was taken aback. Who? Mujia, and Guan Qingyan? Yes, let them in. Han Fei was speechless. It's not easy for me to make money, and you're here to steal my business? Han Fei immediately said, Come in, let them in. Han Fei thought for a moment. I have to trick them, but how can I trick them to earn points for me? Mujia, and Guan Qingyan had already walked in. Mujia exclaimed and pointed at Han Fei. You, how can you keep refining? Han Fei shrugged. I'm refining. What does it have to do with you? You can also give me a 30% discount. Guan Qingyan asked curiously, Brother Han, do you have enough spiritual power? Han Fei frowned. Are they asking about this? Han Fei immediately smiled. Oh, in fact, it's not enough. Don't you see that I'm resting now? With that said, Han Fei took out dried fish and handed it to the 2 of them. Would you like 2 pieces? Mujia, who took the dried fish and stuffed it directly into her mouth. Can dried fish increase spiritual power? Huh, it's quite delicious. Guan Qingyan took the dried fish suspiciously and chewed it. This is just ordinary dried fish. Han Fei smiled. Of course it's ordinary dried fish. Of course, I rely on eating spiritual fruits to supplement my spiritual power. As he talked, Han Fei took out a spiritual fruit and bit it like a real fruit. Then he swallowed the spiritual fruit in 2 or 3 mouthfuls, and the room was immediately filled with fragrance. Guan Qingyan breathed a sigh of relief. I see. Mujia put her hands on her hips. When did you become one of the 3 refining geniuses with us? Han Fei said, Did I? It's all because the customers are too enthusiastic. It's just an empty reputation. Mujia scoffed. Then how can others do business if you give them a 30% discount? Han Fei said seriously, Well, I have to seriously criticize you. Do we refine to make money? No, we spend the least amount of money so that more people can get the weapons they want. Why do I work hard to reduce costs? I do it for the scattered stars island, for the soldiers who are always struggling on the line of life and death. Don't you think refiners make enough money? An ultra-quality spiritual weapon, plus materials and spirit sealing, costs at least 60,000 points. How can an ordinary person afford it? Mu-Jar pouted and said, how can it be 60,000? It's about 40,000. Han Fei grinned. That's the materials they provide themselves. Look at me. I provide the materials myself and help them save a lot of money. So, girl, only by thinking about the world can you achieve great things. How could Mu-Jar win against Han Fei? Dumbfounded by Han Fei's words, she stammered, it's not too late for you to have an epiphany. Why don't you help me refine weapons? It's a good deed. Everyone will remember you well. Come on, I have more than 200 sets of materials here. Let's divide them. If you finish early, I can treat you to hot pot. Mu-Jar was so confused by Han Fei's words. What is hot pot? Han Fei clicked his tongue. It's the most wonderful food in the world. Then Han Fei looked at Guan Xingyan. Brother Guan, do you want to do a good deed? Guan Xingyan twitched his mouth. Only a silly girl like Mu-Jia who could be fooled by Han Fei. He had long seen that Han Fei was just making money. But Guan Xingyan also wanted to see how Han Fei refined weapons. So he said, then I'll learn from Brother Han. Han Fei nodded. You're welcome. Just take it as an experience. Third update. Asking for votes. Add 7,400 votes. Put it at around 7 o'clock. Now, the monthly votes of the bookstore are separated from the Qidian and have their own list, but I'll count them according to the highest monthly votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 653. At the door of refining room number 18. Han Fei handed out the weapon with a smile and then said to the crowd, everyone, now 3 people can come in at a time. I just sincerely invited the other 2 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island to join my team. It can greatly speed up the refining process and won't keep you waiting for long. Wow, really? Someone was at a loss. What's going on? Miss Jia and Guan Xingyan are not here to make trouble. Why do they join hands? Who cares? Anyway, I just want a 30% discount. It doesn't matter who refines it. It doesn't matter who seals it. Han Fei entered the room with a smile. He didn't really need these 2 people's help. However, Han Fei could probably guess the purpose of Guan Xingyan's visit. They wanted to observe him refining, but it should be true that they wanted to see him seal spirits. If he wanted to become a genius, he couldn't keep the method of sealing spirits forever. However, he couldn't let them see it completely. After all, he had said it was a secret. So Han Fei set up a mist array and said to the 2 of them with a smile, well, it's not that I don't want to, but I can't teach the method of sealing spirits to others. However, I can let you listen to it. Mu-Jia pouted. Humph, I don't want to listen to it. Guan Xingyan nodded. Okay. When refining, before Guan Xingyan and Mu-Jia finished the first step of the spirit fusing technique, a long sword had already condensed in Han Fei's hand. Guan Xingyan and Mu-Jia's eyelids twitched for a long time. The 2 of them were speechless. How strong is this guy's control of spiritual energy? Han Fei smiled. He had already discovered it when he was refining just now. Although Mu-Jia usually looked a little silly, she was very focused when it came to refining. But Guan Xingyan had been observing him with his perception. In other words, Guan Xingyan could multitask. This was not a simple thing, which showed that Guan Xingyan's refining level was definitely higher than 3-star level. Han Fei dragged a big crab, hid in the mist array, and set up a concealment array for himself. Then, get in. You think you're so tough? I'll beat you to death. Do you believe me? If you go in, you'll gain eternal life. If you don't, you'll die. Brother Crab, I'm so jealous of you. Do you know that you're going to gain eternal life? Only 5 or 6 breaths later, Han Fei walked out of the mist array with a smile. This time, the spirit sealing had been completed. He glanced at Mu-Jia and Guan Xingyan. Mu-Jia's forehead was covered in sweat. She had probably been shocked by him and didn't dare to be distracted. Therefore, it was very uncomfortable to hold it in at this moment. He was so anxious that his forehead was covered in sweat. As for Guan Xingyan, he was speechless. Damn it, is it really that simple? Most importantly, wasn't it too simple? However, Guan Qingyan did gain something. Just now, he clearly saw Han Fei's refining technique. He was indeed unparalleled. His control of spiritual energy was just right. Just this point alone made it worth it for him to work for free. Being able to observe a few more times would indeed be helpful to him. In the outside world, the scattered stars prison. Zhang Ting asked, "What? That kid went to the refining hall to refine weapons without taking a rest?" A woman whose whole face was hidden under a hat said, "Yes, and someone advertised them as the 3 genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island. Mu Jia, and Guan Qingyan refined weapons with him." Zhang Teng was speechless. "He is from the Scattered Stars 4th unit, I know. But didn't he just enter the Scattered Stars 4th unit? Why is he so talented?" The woman said, "His refining speed is faster than Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia, and the quality is not bad at all." Zhang Teng licked the corner of his mouth and said, "No wonder the Scattered Stars 7th unit asked me to find out Han Fei's background. With this kind of talent, it's possible for him to enter the Scattered Stars 1st unit. Naturally, we have to be extremely cautious. We can't be careless." Zhang Teng waved his hand and said, "Keep watching. 30% discount, only accepting points. This guy wants to make money and buy something, right? Keep an eye on him and see what he exchanged for in the logistics division." Yes. One day later, Mu Jia went on strike and muttered, "How can you refine weapons like this? Refining 16 ultra-quality spiritual weapons a day and sealing spirits. Han Fei, you deliberately let us refine weapons for you." While refining, Han Fei replied, "You can't say that. As the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Have you ever noticed that when your spiritual energy is exhausted, new spiritual energy will be generated? You're squeezing yourself. I'm helping you grow faster." Mu Jia kept stuffing dried fish in her mouth. "I quit. I can't refine anymore. I'll watch you refine." Han Fei thought of something and threw some potato chips to Mu Jia. "Take your time and continue when you are finished. You're going to refine a divine weapon in the future. How can you give up halfway? Refining a divine weapon takes time and effort. If the divine weapon collapses because you can't hold on, it will be too late for you to cry." While refining, Guan Qingyan asked Han Fei, "Brother Han, how did you improve your control of spiritual energy?" Of course, Han Fei had already thought of an answer. He immediately said, "I am a spirit gatherer. I am naturally sensitive to spiritual energy. I can clearly feel every bit of spiritual energy's dynamics, and as long as you guide it well, you can do it too." Guan Qingyan frowned. "Do spirit gatherers have this talent? I also know a few refiners who are spirit gatherers, but they are not as fast as you, and they may not even be as fast as me. Why is that?" Han Fei grinned. "Do they know how to set up arrays?" Guan Qingyan nodded. "No." Han Fei smiled. "That's right. They don't know how to set up arrays, so they can't refine them fast. The ingenuity of arrays itself requires a very high control of spiritual energy. There are thousands of large arrays and countless array diagrams, all of which are drawn with spiritual energy. There can't be a single mistake. So, it's natural that I can control spiritual energy well." Suddenly, Guan Qingyan's heart skipped a beat and the mass of materials in his hand collapsed. Fortunately, he quickly came back to his senses and took another material. Han Fei was distressed. "This is all money. If it is destroyed, it will be tens of thousands of points. Don't get excited. Calm down." Guan Qingyan asked, "Brother Han, what do you think about engraving arrays on weapons when refining? Is it possible to break through the limit of ultra-quality spiritual weapons?" Han Fei frowned slightly. This was like engraving arrays on the wind god boat. It seemed feasible. Han Fei immediately said, "It should be useful, but if it's just a single array, the improvement should not be great. Unless," Guan Qingyan asked, "unless what?" "Unless countless arrays can be superimposed, layer after layer, and with the help of spiritual energy conduction, the arrays can be fully activated." "Wow, are you trying to refine a divine weapon with this method?" Guan Qingyan's eyes flickered. "Yes. Mu Jia, who was chewing on potato chips, suddenly stopped. Really? But this method has been tried before, and no one has succeeded. Han Fei also had an idea. It's extremely difficult. How big is the weapon? If you want to superimpose one array after another on a weapon, the effect will definitely not be as good as the effect during refining. But if you engrave arrays at the same time as refining, so that the refined weapon will be in a state of spirit refinement, and then you have to conceive the array to be set up. Even if this step can be thought of in advance, you have to at least engrave arrays at the same time as refining. Han Fei turned his head and looked at Guan Qingyan. Ordinary people don't have this ability. At least you have to multitask, or even multitask, to have a chance. Guan Qingyan's eyes flickered. In other words, it's possible? Han Fei asked. The point is, if you refine it like this, the materials will still be ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Will it become a divine weapon? Guan Qingyan nodded. I don't know. You have to try. As far as I know, at least someone has succeeded. Han Fei was stunned. Who? Mu Jia curled her lips. Oh, Xiao Guan, that's just a rumor. Think about it. You have to multitask to create arrays. And the arrays are connected. Only a genius in the field of arrays can create arrays. The rumor of that person is like a story. No one has ever seen it. Guan Qingyan exhaled, completed the last step of spirit refinement, and slowly said, Not necessarily. Others believe this is just a rumor, but we are refiners. All this makes sense in theory, but it's extremely difficult to do. I've already set foot in the field of arrays. However, after watching Brother Han refining these 2 days, I think this is very possible. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Wait, what rumor? Is there really someone who refined a divine weapon in this way? Guan Qingyan said lightly. Speaking of which, that person is from the same family as Brother Han. Han Fei. Mu Jia scoffed. What do you mean? Although we all believe in Brother Han, Martial Han used to be a real, top heavenly talent. Elegant, indifferent, powerful, domineering. Han Fei threw a small dried fish at Mu Jia's head. Don't be infatuated. Who is it? Mu Jia was so angry that she also threw a handful of dried fish at Han Fei. Humph! Of course, it's the former Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island, Martial Han Guanshu. Han Fei said in surprise. This person is the Supreme Commander? Then why is he refining weapons? Guan Qingyan smiled faintly. Martial Han's history is in the past. However, if you search carefully, you can still find relevant information about him. He was once the Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island, and the only 6-star refiner in the history of the Scattered Stars Island. Wow, Han Fei asked. So powerful? Where is he now? Has he gone to the 1,000-star city? No. If he can refine divine weapons, then the method of refining divine weapons should have been leaked long ago. Mu Jia said in frustration, What can we do? Martial Han is dead. Dead? Han Fei was dumbfounded. If he can be the Supreme Commander, he must be terrifyingly strong. How could he be dead? Mu Jia nodded. Yes, he's dead. More than 30 years ago, it was said that Martial Han betrayed the clan, and then he seemed to have been killed. Bam! The spiritual energy wrapped in the materials in front of Han Fei exploded. Seeing Guan Qingyan's astonishment, Han Fei quickly said, Cough, cough. I'm surprised. Such a powerful figure actually betrayed the clan? It's even better than 7,400 words. It's over today. Some people say that there will be explosive updates during the new year. Let's put it this way. Today is the 10th, but I've already updated 160,000 words. In the past, the average monthly update was 300,000 words. I can't save any manuscripts at all. If I save it, it will explode. If I save it, it will explode. But I don't have a single point for the new year. After all, we also have to celebrate the new year, but we'll see. If there are no explosive updates, I can also show off live. End of this chapter. Chapter 654. Mu Jia pointed at Han Fei and shouted, You failed. You failed too. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Everyone fails. What's wrong with me failing? In fact, Han Fei's heart was in turmoil. If Mu Jia hadn't said more than 30 years ago, Han Fei wouldn't have suspected it at all. After all, the Supreme Commander was at such a high level. How could it have anything to do with him? For example, Shui Shenqi, the current Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island, had been deified. The Supreme Commander also represented invincibility. Han Fei knew that his strength couldn't be lower than that of a law enforcer. However, it was more than 30 years ago. Han Fei had heard this many times 30 years ago. The Thug Academy declined more than 30 years ago. Han Fei was stimulated by the word descendant again. However, when he thought about it carefully, something seemed wrong. More than 30 years ago, the other party had betrayed the clan, which should have nothing to do with him. After all, he was only 12 years old when he transmigrated. According to Mu Jiao, at that time, Han Guanshu should have been killed. Even if he wasn't killed but escaped, it was unlikely that the once arrogant Supreme Commander of the Scattered Stars Island found a random woman, got married, and had children, right? This was like a wealthy tycoon suddenly finding a wife in the countryside. The chances of this happening were extremely small. Besides, Han Fei guessed that Han Guanshu probably had a relationship with the Thug Academy in the Thousand Star City. If Han Guanshu had something to do with him, no one would have ignored him before. After all, he took the initiative to find old Jiang. Besides, he had a useless bloodline. Guan Xingyan said, "It is said that General Han once refined a divine weapon with ultra-quality materials. He is also the only person in the Scattered Stars Island and the Thousand Star City who can refine a divine weapon with ultra-quality materials." Han Fei immediately frowned. No way. Although divine weapons are rare, I often hear about them. For example, there is a divine weapon sky hanging mirror in the level 3 fishery. Then where did these divine weapons come from? Mu Jia rolled her eyes and said, "Are you stupid? What we're talking about is refining a divine weapon from the materials of a supreme-grade spiritual weapon. It doesn't mean that divine weapons can't be refined. If the materials used were peerless and rare, then it would naturally be possible to refine a divine weapon. However, where can I find such materials?" Han Fei raised his eyebrows. "There are a lot of ultra-quality materials. There must be such materials." Guan Xingyan nodded. "Yes, but they are extremely rare. This was also the reason why divine weapons were rare in the entire Thousand Star City. If we can use top-grade materials to forge a divine weapon, then that would be a pioneering move. It would be a great merit to mankind." Han Fei shrugged. "I don't have that ability anyway. Right now, there are very few formations that I can create with a single stomp. Even if they set it up meticulously, they would only be able to set up 2 or 3 stacking formations. Don't talk about creating your own formation. Even copying it would be a little difficult." Guan Xingyan pondered and said, "If refining a divine weapon is so easy, someone on the Scattered Stars Island would have done it a long time ago. Someone has to give it a try. No matter how difficult it is, we have to give it a try." Han Fei patted Guan Xingyan's shoulder. "Okay, try it. I still have a lot of things to do." "Hey, Mu Jiao, don't be lazy. You still don't have the slightest awareness of becoming an expert. Continue refining." 3 days later, Han Fei, Mu Jiao, and Guan Xingyan's hands were trembling. Mu Jiao gasped. No, I can't refine weapons like this anymore. I'll die." Guan Xingyan said lightly, "My spiritual power has increased." Mu Jiao said angrily, "Really? I don't care. I want to eat and sleep." Han Fei took the banner back from the shop assistant, paid the salary, and sat down in the refining room. Come on. Thank you for your hard work. Let me show you the power of the hot pot." After a moment, Mu Jiao jumped up. Yes, this is delicious. What is this made of? What kind of spiritual fruit is this? It has such a magical taste." Han Fei was speechless. "Can you sit down first?" Mu Jiao dragged Han Fei. Teach me. Han Fei pushed her aside. "You can't learn it even if I teach you. Good things are rare. It took me decades to collect these seasonings, but you ate them in one meal. How can I teach you?" Mu Jiao widened her eyes regretfully. "Are they so precious?" The corners of Guan Xingyan's mouth twitched again. He felt that Mu Jiao's IQ should be improved. This spiritual fruit had no spiritual energy at all. How could these things be as precious as Han Fei said? Han Fei must have some unique tricks that he didn't want to reveal. However, Guan Qingyan didn't point it out. On the path of cultivation, one must avoid distraction. If one couldn't even resist the desire for food, how could one achieve great things? However, Guan Qingyan glanced at the hot pot and thought to himself, this thing is really delicious. Let's finish this meal first and then ban it later. After eating and drinking, Han Fei drove the two of them away without hesitation. If he didn't drive them away, he would have to keep them for the night. Only Mu Jiaer pitifully poured away the hot pot soup, saying that it was still edible and she had to save it. At that time, Han Fei thought, if she finds out, will she beat me to death? But Han Fei didn't care so much. He quickly looked at his waist tag, which had a total of 14. 2 million points. Han Fei was overjoyed. His only pity was that many people didn't seal creatures above level 40. Many people chose creatures below level 40, which led to a great reduction in their points income. Otherwise, even 20 million points wouldn't be enough to stop him. Han Fei tidied up a little and quickly ran out of the refining hall. On the way, many people saw Han Fei and shouted, Master Han, when will you refine next time? Master Han, don't run. I have money. Master Han, let me see you off. Master Han. In a flash, Han Fei had run away. Because it wasn't a holiday yet, none of them had a holiday. Although Luo Xiaobai's daily office was not far from the refining hall, she knew that Han Fei was busy refining, so she wouldn't disturb him. Only Lu Renquang called Han Fei every day. All the calls were for Han Fei to help him refine weapons and seal spirits. In a few days, Han Fei planned to seal spirits on all their weapons. At this moment, Han Fei stood at the gate of the logistics division, calling Lu Renquang. Han Fei said, Quang Quang, are you there? Answer me as soon as possible. In less than 2 minutes, Lu Renquang responded, Are you done? Without hesitation, Han Fei immediately asked, Is the 1,000 poison fruits still there? On the other end of the waist tag, there was a moment of silence. Han Fei, let me tell you, don't be angry. That 1,000 poison fruit was bought by someone else 2 days ago. Puff! Han Fei was dumbfounded and then cursed. Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on it? Is this how you see it? I've worked so hard for several months and finally got the money, and you tell me that the 1,000 poison fruit is gone? Lu Renquang said with a guilty conscience, Well, you know, the thing is obvious. My words don't matter. Besides, the 1,000 poison fruit was bought by an 8-star brigadier general. I can't stop him. Why don't you take a look and see which ones can be used first? Han Fei was helpless. What do I need you for? What about the other logistics division? Is there 1,000 poison fruit? I have money. Lu Renquang scoffed. Do you think the 1,000 poison fruit is cabbage? It has been hanging here for more than 3 months and no one bought it. Who knew that a rich guy suddenly appeared and bought it? I can't do anything about it. Han Fei snorted. Fine. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Go about your business. I'm going to see if there is anything else. The 1,000 poison fruit, as its name suggested, could cure all poisons, which was quite rare. Although it might not be able to completely block all poisons, according to the records in Han Fei's complete collection of spiritual plants in the infinite ocean, this was one of the best anti-poison fruits. Just having one was already a blessing from the heavens, yet it was gone just like that. At the counter of the logistics division, Han Fei said, I want a rare exchange catalog. In the logistics division, all the collections would be recorded on the exchange catalog. On the general exchange catalog, there were only some materials, spiritual fruits, spiritual springs, etc. However, there was spirit awakening fluid on it, which seemed to be a benefit for ordinary people on the Scattered Stars Island. There was no threshold for exchanging for spirit awakening fluid. On the advanced exchange catalog, there were mostly some rare things, and ordinary ultra-quality materials couldn't even be listed. On the rare exchange catalog, there were really rare things such as soul crystals, life fruits, exotic creatures, and extremely rare spiritual fruits, which were generally listed here. Han Fei asked for a rare exchange catalog, stood by the counter, and quickly flipped to the anti-poison fruit category. In an instant, more than 100 anti-poison fruits appeared in front of Han Fei. First update. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 655. In the hall of the logistics division, there was a hubbub of voices. Trading points was happening all the time. From the side doors on both sides, there were things being transported inside. In the end, the points that the people earned from fighting and working were all handed over to the logistics division. They also helped the logistics division clear a lot of their inventory. This is a market that has been developing for a long time. The law of the market has emerged, and a market can automatically adjust the economy. At this time, Han Fei was studying the anti-poison fruits one by one. Why was he so obsessed with fighting the poisonous fruit? It was because of Qiu's Poison King and Poison God. Only Qiu could refine thousands of poisons in different ways. Ordinary people couldn't do this. Han Fei was confident that if he was poisoned by the current poison god, even if he didn't die, he wouldn't be far from it. Therefore, the matter of the anti-poison fruit must be put on the agenda. Any one of these anti-poison fruits was comparable to the venomous tulip. Unfortunately, there was still a large gap between it and the myriad poison fruit. Han Fei muttered to himself, "Jade ghost bamboo? No, this thing is used by poison cultivators. Its toxicity is too overbearing. After eating this thing, you wouldn't even be able to kiss her. Sky spider grass? This thing could only resist the poison of sea spiders and sea scorpions. 1 million points? Too expensive, too expensive. Let's take a look again. Poison-repelling fruit? This seems all right. Its effects are better than the venomous tulip and the 1,000 poisons fruit. 2 for million points. This was daylight robbery. He took another look. After turning many pages, Han Fei's eyes lit up. Heaven Spirit, detoxifying insect? Han Fei's eyelids twitched several times when he saw this. He knew that this thing was a living bug. After it was swallowed, it would not move around. Once it was poisoned, it would help its host absorb the poison. However, according to the complete collection of spiritual plants in the Endless Sea realm, this plant seemed to have a tolerance limit. How would it fare against the poison god? Han Fei looked at the price. 8 million points of credit, which made Han Fei's blood freeze. However, although it seemed a little scary to have a bug living in his body. However, the effect of this thing was not bad at all. The difference between the 1,000 poison fruit and the 1,000 poison fruit was that the 1,000 poison fruit could basically cure all poisons, preventing a large portion of poisons from harming the body. However, the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect seemed to be able to detoxify any poison. In the end, the insect itself became more and more poisonous until it died from the poison. In a sense, the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect was even stronger than the 1,000 poison fruit. After all, although the 1,000 poison fruit was said to be able to resist thousands of poisons, it was not truly omnipotent. However, there was a reason why no one bought this insect. It seemed to be an insatiable greed. It was said that it was extremely easy to overeat oneself to death. The second was that it was difficult to grow, and the amount of poison they could swallow was limited. If this insect died, it would still be useless. Han Fei made up his mind and immediately listed this item as one of his options. After reading more than 100 kinds of anti-poison items, he found that the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect was the most cost-effective one. Of course, if he had the ability to buy all of these 100 or so anti-poison items, the effect would probably be even stronger than the 1,000 poison fruit. But the problem was that it was almost impossible. That was worth hundreds of millions of points. Immediately, Han Fei went to the counter. "I want to exchange for the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect." The girl behind the counter was stunned. She said in astonishment, "You want to exchange for the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect?" "Yes." Immediately, the girl took a breath. "Can you show me your waist tag first?" Han Fei immediately handed over his waist tag. When the staff saw Han Fei's 6 million points, she was a little dumbfounded. A junior hanging fisher, 4-star 6 million points? Where did this guy get so many points? Immediately, the girl said, "Please wait a moment." After that, the girl said a few words to the waist token. After that, she gave Han Fei a sweet look. "What's your name? What's your position?" Han Fei said with a smile. "Han Fei, 3rd column, deputy captain of the 8th battalion." The girl's eyes lit up. A junior hanging fisher became the deputy captain of a battalion? The girl asked. How old are you? Han Fei was taken aback. Do I have to provide this too? I am 16 years old this year. The girl exclaimed. Ah, you are 2 years younger than me. Then do you have a girlfriend? Cough, cough. Han Fei blushed. Yes, yes. The girl was quite disappointed and then sighed. Then do you mind having one more? Han Fei. The girl giggled. Don't be scared. I'm just kidding. The heaven spirit detoxifying insect you all will be delivered to you soon. Do you need anything else? Han Fei heaved a sigh of relief. Girls nowadays are so unrestrained. Who can resist them? Han Fei said, by the way, give me 100 level 1 soul crystals and 10 level 2 soul crystals, and 500 caddies of spirit awakening fluid. The girl couldn't help but be very envious. It's so nice to be a rich big shot. In the blink of an eye, he had spent 7 million points. It must be noted that the promotion points for a 6-star slaughterer were only 5 million points. That was to say, if Han Fei had enough combat skills and 5 million points of credit, he could immediately hang a 6-star waist tag on his waist. What an honor it was. Even the promotion points for a 7-star centurion were only 10 million points. Of course, at that point, points were only one of the conditions for promotion. But in the eyes of others, Han Fei was so young and had already obtained so many points. As long as he didn't die, it was not a particularly difficult thing for him to rise in stars. After about half an hour, the heaven spirit detoxifying insect, soul crystals, and spirit awakening fluid were all delivered to the counter. As soon as Han Fei put away the things, the girl said, do you really not want to consider exchanging contact information with me? I'm only 2 years older than you, but I look like I'm 15. Han Fei was embarrassed and immediately fled. What? You're already 15? Do I look like the kind of person who likes lolis? Seeing Han Fei flee, the receptionist girl giggled for a while. When the laughter stopped, she suddenly became serious, grabbed the waist tag, and said, Han Fei, deputy captain of the 8th Battalion of the 3rd Column, junior hanging fisher, currently holding a 4-star rank, stationed on the skeleton shore. This person has just exchanged 7 million points for a batch of materials. Pay close attention to him. This person may be a heavenly talent. No one knew who the girl was talking to. It was like a routine report, and then she quietly waited for the next person to exchange for materials. Han Fei naturally didn't know any of this. He felt that he was not high profile in a sense. Although he had shown his talent in refining, he wouldn't offend anyone. Although he killed the red demon, he did it with the help of others. Han Fei hadn't checked out of the number 18 refining room he rented in the refining hall. He just ran out in a hurry and then ran back in a hurry. According to the staff of the refining hall, Han Fei naturally went to the logistics division to exchange for refining materials. Someone even shouted, Master Han, are you going to start refining again? Han Fei responded without looking back. No, I need to do some research. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. In the refining room, Han Fei took out a jade box first. What was inside was naturally the heaven spirit detoxifying insect. After setting up a defensive array, Han Fei opened the box. What appeared in his field of vision was a thumb-sized pure gold beetle. It looked a bit like a pure golden turtle scarab. It looked chubby and didn't know how to run. It just lay in the box foolishly. This guy seemed to be timid. It tilted its head and glanced at Han Fei. Han Fei was immediately amused. It looked a little better than he thought. At least it wasn't a myriapod. Otherwise, he would be scared to death. A string of information emerged in his eyes. Name Heaven Spirit Detoxifying Insect Introduction, an insect that is immune to all poisons. It can swallow all poisons in the world. It grows up by eating poisons and changes because of poisons. However, once it consumed too much poison and exceeded its body's tolerance limit, it would die from overeating. This insect can live in the body of a living creature and must be fed with spiritual energy, poisons, etc., and cannot be fed with other energy. Otherwise, it will die. Level 30, quality, exotic, upgradable. Contains spiritual energy greater than 600 points, edible effect, inettable, collectible, heaven spirit liquid, absorbable. Han Fei immediately took a breath. This insect had a lot of room to grow. It was only level 30. If it fed on poisons, wouldn't he have to eat poisons every day? Originally, he just wanted to protect himself from poisons. But now he had to eat poisons every day. However, level 30 was too low. It probably couldn't survive more than a few poisons. If it was a poison at the level of the Poison King, as long as the amount was enough, it could definitely kill the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect in one go. Han Fei was speechless. So, this was a reason why no one bought it, right? For one thing, the price of 6 million points of credit was really not cheap. And for another, it had to be fed with poisons every day, which was not something that ordinary people could do. Although the logistics division could also buy poisonous animals, once they raised this little thing, they would have to provide it with food often, and it would be for life. This inevitably led to the fact that the price of buying it might be cheap, but the price of raising it was surprisingly high. Although it didn't have to be sponsored partnerships, it wouldn't be of much use if its level couldn't rise. This was a paradox. Han Fei couldn't help thinking, can I only feed it poison? Will Spirit Awakening Fluid work? Little Black and the others all loved Spirit Awakening Fluid very much. That thing could help them make breakthroughs quickly. Can't the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect work? No, I have to try. Second update. Asking for votes into this chapter. Chapter 656. Han Fei didn't immediately let this little insect parasitize him, but took out the Spirit Awakening Fluid. He didn't put much in, just filling this small box to prevent the insect he bought with 6 million points of credit from being stuffed to death. As a result, a magical scene appeared. The Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect was only the size of a thumb, but a box of Spirit Awakening Fluid was absorbed by it in almost 10 minutes, without any omission. Han Fei was amazed. Spirit Awakening Fluid didn't seem to be energy. He drank 200 kilograms of Spirit Awakening Fluid, but where did it go? In any case, after it entered his body, it became a mysterious thing that strengthened his physique. He didn't even know whether it had dissipated or not. After eating the Spirit Awakening Fluid, the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect glanced at Han Fei again and poked him with its two little claws. Han Fei was speechless. You're not a fly. Why are you rubbing? Do you want to wash your hands? So Han Fei poured another box for it, but in the blink of an eye, it was gone again. He did this repeatedly, and when he poured 100 kilograms, the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect upgraded. Han Fei was surprised by her appetite. Where did she eat all the food? Han Fei was thrilled by this scene. However, he was only excited for a moment when it was upgraded, because Han Fei was speechless to find that he couldn't afford to raise this thing. 100 kilograms of Spirit Awakening Fluid was 500,000 points of credit. If he wanted to cultivate this thing to level 40, 1,000 kilograms was definitely not enough. Besides, it cost 6 million points of credit to buy it, and it was fed with poisonous food. Han Fei suddenly sat on the ground, his eyes dull. Oh no, I lost a lot. I bought a foodie. Spirit Awakening Fluid was very rare, and Han Fei didn't want to continue to waste it. He made a cut on his arm with a blood-drinking knife, then grabbed the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect and pressed it on the wound. Immediately, the insect's body became a little smaller. Then it drilled directly into the wound from the arm to the chest. Originally, this insect stayed in the chest and didn't move. But suddenly, for some reason, this guy began to drill down again, all the way to the dantian. Han Fei found that this insect was interested in the seed, but he was speechless. Don't King court death. Even I can't move that seed. Don't torment yourself to death. Sure enough, after the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect crawled over, it circled the seed for a long time. It seemed to touch the seed, but it could not touch it at all. It was as if the seed was illusory. Seeing that it was hopeless, the Heaven Spirit detoxifying insect laid down beside the seed and remained motionless. Han Fei had a headache, but there was nothing he could do. He had already bought it and fed it. He couldn't send it back, could he? No matter what, as long as the insect was still alive, he should be immune to all poisons. Although the price might be a little high, at least he had a layer of assurance in his heart. After he stopped studying the heaven spirit detoxifying insect, he took out the soul crystals. This time, his mental power reached 1501 points. Han Fei immediately knew that the god-scaring painting could already be cultivated, and his perception range would continue to increase. After a while, Han Fei suddenly opened his eyes. The 26th fragment of the god-scaring painting still costs only 50 level 1 soul crystals, but the perception range is still 500 meters? On average, one soul crystal still increased his perception range by 10 meters. 100 soul crystals were soon used up, and Han Fei only remembered 27 fragments of the god-scaring painting. There was no special difference between level 1 soul crystals and level 2 soul crystals, except that the color was a little darker. Maybe the quality was better, but Han Fei wasn't sure. When he absorbed them, he didn't feel any difference, but when Han Fei absorbed the third piece, the difference appeared. When the third soul crystal was absorbed, Han Fei had remembered the 28th fragment of the god-scaring painting. Are level 2 soul crystals better than level 1 soul crystals? In the logistics division, the price of a level 2 soul crystal was 30,000 points, and the price of a level 1 soul crystal was 3,000 points. The difference between the two was 10 times. But in terms of effect, the effect of 3 level 2 soul crystals was equal to the effect of 50 level 1 soul crystals. In terms of cost-effectiveness, it was far better than level 1 soul crystals. Han Fei couldn't help but be a little moved. It seemed that the higher the level of the soul crystal, the better the effect. Soon, after staying in the refining room for less than an hour, Han Fei came out again. This time, Han Fei went to the logistics division again, and it was the same window. Yes, it was the damn window just now. Because the rare exchange record was taken from her, there wouldn't be many people coming to this window. Unless the logistics division was too busy, they would temporarily use this window. When the little girl saw Han Fei, she immediately smiled. Have you thought it through? Are you going to ask me out? Wait for another hour, and then I'll get off work. We can go to the club and have some drinks. Han Fei was immediately embarrassed. Well, can I exchange another 500 kilograms of spirit awakening fluid and 100 level 2 soul crystals? The little girl's pupils immediately shrank. So many. Han Fei smiled. Not for myself. I bought them for my senior brother. Your senior brother? Han Fei nodded repeatedly. Door-carrying Marshall, my senior brother. Han Fei also knew that if he rashly bought too many level 2 soul crystals, he might attract attention. Therefore, he naturally used Wang Dashuai's name as a scapegoat. Anyway, this matter was probably not a secret, and his senior brother would use it at this time. Later, he could go to the Empyrean waterfall and chat with his senior brother for a while. However, the little girl said, the number of level 2 soul crystals is limited. You have already exchanged for 10 today. You can only exchange for 10 more. The upper limit for 4-star ranks is 20. The upper limit for 5-star ranks is 50, and the upper limit for 6-star ranks is 100. Han Fei was stunned. Every day? Of course not, every month. Han Fei immediately gasped. Okay, then I'll exchange for 10 first, and 20 level 1 soul crystals. I'll let my senior brother exchange for the rest himself. By the way, is there a limit for exchanging spirit awakening fluid? The little girl nodded. Yes, the limit for 4-star and 5-star ranks is 1,000 kilograms per month. You have just exchanged for the upper limit. Of course, if you explain the use and submit an application, I should be able to approve another 1,000 kilograms. Han Fei said with a smile, No, it's enough. I'll feed it to my contractual spiritual beast. Except for the logistics division, Han Fei was speechless. There was a purchase limit? That was not easy. In the refining room, Han Fei had consumed all the soul crystals in his hand. His perception range had increased to 14,499 meters, a full range of 30 kilometers, but Han Fei didn't feel that it had reached the upper limit. However, the purchase limit was too disgusting. With his 4-star rank, he could only exchange for 20 level 2 soul crystals. Then wouldn't he only be able to exchange for 10 3-star ranks? However, on second thought, It seemed that others did not absorb soul crystals as fast as he did. Han Fei immediately said to his waist tag, "Is Kwang Kwang here?" "Yes, you haven't left yet. Don't ask too much. When you get off work, come to the number 18 refining room of the refining hall to find me." "Okay, do you want to eat hot pot?" F***ck off. You only know how to eat. I'm going to cultivate first. You can work first. Han Fei's so-called cultivation was to pour spirit awakening fluid into his body. He poured about 300 caddies of spirit awakening fluid, and his upper limit of spiritual energy was increased to 9,262 points, which was not much. 300 caddies of spirit awakening fluid was equivalent to increasing Han Fei's upper limit of spiritual energy by 261 points. On average, one caddy of spirit awakening fluid increased his upper limit of spiritual energy by less than 1 point. The benefit of Han Fei's spirit awakening fluid was that his physique had become better. When Lu Rinquang arrived, Han Fei stopped cultivating. As soon as Lu Rinquang arrived, he said happily, "Huh, Fei Fei, have you made a breakthrough?" Han Fei asked, "Isn't it natural for me to make a breakthrough?" Lu Rinquang shook his head. "No, from a peak-level dangling fisher to a hanging fisher. It doesn't seem that simple. I'm still a little short. I thought I would be faster than you, but who knew that you would make a breakthrough first?" Han Fei nodded. "I just made a breakthrough and need to consolidate. By the way, I have something to tell you." Lu Rinquang nodded. "Why are you so polite? Let's eat hot pot." Han Fei immediately said, "Give me your waist tag." "Huh?" Han Fei immediately matched Lu Rinquang's waist tag with his own. With a thought, he transferred all his remaining 5 million points to Lu Rinquang. "Oh," Lu Rinquang said excitedly. "For me? Did you make a fortune?" "Ha ha, I'm rich, I'm rich." Han Fei rolled his eyes. "Bullsh asterisk T. You think too much. I gave you all my belongings so that you could help me buy some things from the logistics division." Lu Rinquang's body stiffened, and his face was even uglier than crying. "Huh? It's not for me?" Han Fei was helpless. "Even if I wanted to give something, I would give it to Xia Xiaochan. Why should I give it to you?" Lu Rinquang said with a sad face, "I knew it wouldn't be a good thing. Tell me, what do you want?" Han Fei said, "I want as many level 2 soul crystals as I can. In addition, help me buy a lot of poisonous grasses, poisonous fruits, and other materials between level 30 and level 40. Lu Rinquang was taken aback. "Level 2 soul crystals? You've already used level 2 soul crystals?" Han Fei asked. "Can I absorb them quickly?" Lu Rinquang explained, "The things on the rare exchange list are all limited. Although I work in it. Forget it, I'll try." Han Fei nodded. "Okay, I'll get them from you the next time we meet. By the way, if you need to use these points, you can also use them. But don't forget to buy them. If you don't have enough points, tell me." Lu Rinquang took a deep breath. "Is refining so profitable? Is it too late for me to change to refining now?" Han Fei said disdainfully, Talent is the key. Go away. I'm not here to chat with you today. I have to consolidate my cultivation. Go to your own thing." Lu Rinquang was speechless and was driven out of the refining room by Han Fei. He looked dumbfounded. "Hot pot, you don't even let me have a bite?" At night, in the number 18 refining room, Han Fei slowly opened his eyes and data appeared. Owner, Han Fei, level greater than 43, junior hanging fisher, spiritual energy greater than 146,655, 9758, spiritual power 1, 588/1, 588, perception range greater than 14,499 meters, spiritual heritage, level 5, high quality, spiritual beast. Twin yin-yang spirit swallowing fish, level 38. Main art, void breaking technique. Volume 4 of void fishing, demon level, divine quality. Add up the monthly votes and save them for one or more outbursts. Third chapter. Asking for votes. Attention, attention, attention. The growth of the monthly votes has slowed down now. It may be a bit difficult to add chapters every day. Yesterday, someone in the book review suggested that we should add up the monthly votes and save them for a one-time outburst. I think this method is feasible. We can have an outburst every few days, or we can have more outbursts in the new year. What do you think? Today is the third chapter. No more at night. End of this chapter. Chapter 657. Working hard to earn points so far, Han Fei had almost used up 14.6 million points in one day. Although these consumption didn't seem to improve his combat power much, the improvement of his comprehensive ability was terrifying. This also meant that Han Fei had the power to protect himself on the Scattered Stars Island. Of course, in Han Fei's mind, those ordinary frontline soldiers and ordinary senior scouts were not his targets. Next, what Han Fei had to do was to accumulate military merits, kill 100 people, and find a way to get a 5-star rank. In theory, Han Fei could get a 5-star rank just by refining like Mu Jia, and Guan Xingyan. However, although they all had 5-star ranks, their goals were different. Mu Jia and the others had high achievements in refining, so when they were assigned various tasks, the first thing the higher-ups thought of was to let them refine weapons. But Han Fei refined weapons for the sake of making money. If refining didn't make money, what was the point of refining? At this moment, Han Fei couldn't make any more breakthroughs. In terms of level, he had broken through to level 43. Although he hadn't reached the peak yet, once he reached the peak, he had to prepare to become an intermediate hanging fisher. In that case, his breakthrough speed would be too fast, which would definitely surprise many people, which was not a good thing. There was still one day before their rest day. Han Fei didn't plan to go back immediately, but went to study arrays. The information inadvertently revealed by Guan Xingyan and Mu Jia made Han Fei feel that it might be possible to refine divine weapons. However, he had just started to study arrays and still needed time to consolidate his knowledge. Before Han Fei started his research, Yulin had already found him. Han Fei was surprised. "Why are you here? Did something happen to the skeleton shore?" Yulin shook her head. "No, the red demons attacked, so the skeleton shore has become the focus of attention recently, so it's been quiet during this period." Han Fei asked then. Yulin looked at Han Fei with a complicated look. "Captain, you and Captain Chow have been called to go to sea." "Huh?" Han Fei was taken aback. "What? Called to go to sea? Who called you?" "It was the former Captain Zhong Han who came to inform us in person. It seems to be a task." Han Fei was lost for words. "Wait, aren't people of my level not allowed to go to sea?" Yulin pondered for a moment. "Captain, you're too high profile." Han Fei was surprised. "Why am I high profile? Even though I have become a 3-star blacksmith, it has nothing to do with being high profile, right?" Yulin asked. "Captain, have you forgotten that you killed 2 red demons?" Han Fei was lost for words. "I didn't kill him with my own strength. How can this be considered high profile?" Yulin tilted her head and looked at Han Fei. "Want to be high profile?" Yulin had a complicated expression on her face. Han Fei rose too fast. More than 2 months ago, when she first picked Han Fei up, he was only an advanced dangling fisher. It only took him 2 months to become a junior hanging fisher. Although it was not that no one could catch up to Han Fei's cultivation speed, such people were few and far between. Yulin felt that she had encountered a genius among geniuses. Han Fei had led them to see no more than 20 times so far, but he had changed a batch of weapons for the entire 8th Battalion. Besides, after several battles, Han Fei's performance was excellent, which was already very eye-catching. Yulin had long felt that people like Han Fei wouldn't stay in the 8th Battalion for long. Sure enough, it had only been more than 2 months, and Han Fei was already qualified to go to sea. Han Fei asked, "Tell me first, what is the situation of going to sea? Is there any inside story?" Yulin shook her head. "I don't know, although you and Captain Chow are both geniuses. It stands to reason that with your current strength, you shouldn't go to sea. So I guess there will be a lot of people traveling with you, and there should be strong masters protecting you." Han Fei frowned. "Then what should I do now? Should I go back to the skeleton shore and wait?" "No. Captain Zhong Han asked me to tell you that the gathering place is in the Sea God Square in the central city of the Scattered Stars Island." "Sea God Square? Where is that?" Yulin explained. I've only been there once. It's just a square outside the central city with a statue of the sea god. Other than that, there doesn't seem to be anything special. I only know that the sea god square is outside the central city of the Scattered Stars Island, at the junction of the Transverse Mountain and the Twisted Jungle. Han Fei asked, "Where's Chao Chiu? Why didn't he come?" "Captain Chao has already gone there. Captain Zhong Han asked you to go there early too. We have to gather tomorrow morning." Han Fei suddenly said, "Then let's go. Who will lead the 8th Battalion?" "Captain Zhong Han will take over for the time being. When you come back, you should still be in the 8th Battalion for the time being." Just as Han Fei and Yu Lingyun were talking in the refining hall, they found that Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renquang came together. Lu Renquang said, "Fei Fei, I have something to tell you." Han Fei tilted his head and looked at the two of them. "Are you going to the Sea God Square?" Lu Renquang was stunned. "You know this too?" Luo Xiaobai had already become a hanging fisher. She glanced at Han Fei. "If there are no accidents, I'm afraid Xiaochan and Zhang Xuanyu will also go." Yu Lingyun still remembered that these two were Han Fei's original team members. At this moment, she was secretly surprised. Is this team really so powerful? Especially Lu Renquang. This guy hasn't become a hanging fisher yet, right? How can he go to sea? Han Fei looked at Yu Lingyun and said, "Why don't you go back first?" Yu Lingyun took a deep look at them. "Okay." After Yu Lingyun left, Lu Renquang couldn't help whispering, "Fei Fei, this woman looks so fierce." Han Fei asked, "Really? Don't think she looks fierce just because she has a scar on her face. You cut your face twice, but you look even fiercer." Luo Xiaobai looked at Han Fei. "Han Fei, your breakthrough seems a bit fast." Han Fei asked in surprise, "Fast?" Luo Xiaobai said, "Don't forget, you are a body cultivator. Besides, I feel that you have now completely consolidated your realm as a junior hanging fisher." Han Fei said with a smile, "It's okay. I probably won't make another breakthrough during this period of time. Although my realm has increased, my physique is not much stronger. I still need some time to adapt." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Let's go. Let's meet Xiaochan and the others first." Han Fei and Lu Renquang were both stunned. "Are you in such a hurry?" Luo Xiaobai said, "If I'm not mistaken, many disciples of the big clans and sects in the Thousand Star City have come." Han Fei's face changed slightly. "Let's go. Let's go." When he saw Chao Chiu, Han Fei knew that the younger generation of the Thousand Star City had come. However, the Scattered Stars Island was not small, and he stayed on the skeleton shore for a long time, so he didn't meet those people. But at this moment, hearing what Luo Xiaobai said, it should be more or less the same. Along the way, Luo Xiaobai said, "If my guess is right, the reason why we were gathered should be a group of the most outstanding newcomers selected by the Scattered Stars Island, according to the observation of the newcomers in the past 2 months. And the so-called sea trip shouldn't be too far away. Otherwise, with so many geniuses gathered, it will be easy to cause the sea demons to attack. If something happens, the loss will outweigh the gain." Han Fei frowned slightly. "If this is the case, Lu Renquang, do you want to make a breakthrough?" Lu Renquang nodded. "Temporary breakthroughs are not stable. It's better to make a breakthrough after coming back. The longer I stay here, the more powerful I will be after the breakthrough." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "If the 5 of us can get together, it shouldn't be a big problem. Going to sea is not a small matter, and there must be masters following us, so I'm afraid we don't need to do anything." Over the Scattered Stars Island, the fishing boat couldn't be fast, so it took Han Fei and the others half an hour to fly to the Sea God Square in the middle of the Scattered Stars Island. Han Fei lay on the bow of the boat, looked at the city below, and judged from the layout of the lights. This central city doesn't seem to cover a large area. Luo Xiaobai said, "The central city is actually not a city, but more like a place for high-level masters. Here, there are many masters and some supreme orders and special personnel appointments are issued from here." Soon, they came to the so-called Sea God Square. Arriving with Han Fei and the others were 5 or 6 fishing boats flying over from other directions. Among them, Han Fei saw a familiar person, Zhang Wen from the Zhang family of the Thousand Star City. Zhang Wen obviously also noticed Han Fei. At the moment he saw Han Fei, his head was about to explode. Since he returned to the Thousand-Star City from the Level 3 fishery, the fact that Zhang Wen was killed on the ground and had his head stomped on in 3 seconds couldn't be concealed at all. For this, he almost broke down. The people in his family didn't like him anymore, and he received fewer family resources. There were also quite a few people who were secretly laughing at him. Han Fei waved his hand enthusiastically. Oh, what a coincidence. Humph. Zhang Wen flew away with a swish, not wanting to talk to Han Fei. When Han Fei and the others landed, Xia Xiaochan and Zhang Xuanyu ran over as soon as possible. Xia Xiaochan nodded. This way. Zhang Xuanyu nodded. You're all here? Great. We can finally go to sea together again. Han Fei looked around. There were a lot of people here, more than 300. Among them, Han Fei found many familiar faces. In the 36 towns, Han Fei found Jiang Tong, Ming Kun, Jing Changfeng, Gong Yuehan, Chu Sun, Lu Wuwei, Yu Xian from the 7 major sects of the Thousand-Star City, Mo Fian, Yang Diyu, Sun Mu, the Li brothers, Wang Zitian from the big clans. In addition, Han Fei was surprised to find that Mu Jiaer and Guan Qingyan were also among them. However, Han Fei immediately discovered that Chao Tian, Chun Aochen, Tang Ge, Chao Jiren, Mu Ling, and Yi Baiyu were not there, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 658. When Han Fei came, Yang De immediately roared, Han Fei, here you are again. Han Fei sneered. What? Do you want to fight me? Yang De scoffed. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I just forged a new divine axe, and I'm worried that no one will fight me. Han Fei grinned. If you have enough money, you can have a try. With 2 heaven-level, high-quality combat skills, I can make you doubt your life. Xia Xiaochan poked Han Fei. Xia Xiaochan poked Han Fei. Axe combat skills are useless to us. Han Fei thought about it. She was right. He quickly changed his tone. No heaven-level, high-quality combat skills. With 10 million high-quality pearls, I'll make you doubt your life. Zhang Wen's face darkened. He had been blackmailed. However, he and Yi Baiyu had agreed not to tell anyone that he had been blackmailed of a heaven-level high-quality combat skill. Especially when the dragon boat was hijacked, Zhang Wen really wanted to kill Han Fei. He thought that Han Fei couldn't rob the dragon boat. However, this guy robbed it and killed a peak-level hanging fisher. At that time, how strong was Han Fei? He was just an advanced, dangling fisher. Now, how strong was Han Fei? He was already a junior hanging fisher. For people like Han Fei, it was very dangerous to judge from his level alone. Besides, he had not only made a step forward, but also made a big step forward. As soon as Yang Diyu heard this, he said to the Li brothers next to him, I won't give him a chance. If I can't beat him, I will run away. Mo Fian snorted. The question is whether you can run away or not. Chao Qiu dragged 2 swords and jumped towards Han Fei. Han Fei, our team has grown. Let's kill them this time. 2 swords said coldly. Ha, you think too much. Han Fei looked at Chao Qiu curiously. Where are your brother and sister? Tang Ge and Mu Ling? Where is Yi Baiyu? Chao Qiu shrugged. I don't know. I haven't seen them since I came to this place. 2 swords said, not everyone will come. Some people are too outstanding and can choose not to come. Of the people you mentioned, Yi Baiyu is the weakest, but he is the fastest. Therefore, he is also one of those rare geniuses. Han Fei frowned. Could Tang Ge and the others not come? This doesn't make sense. If these people were all here, Tang Ge and the others should be here too. While Han Fei was thinking, Zhang Xuanyu suddenly chuckled. Hey, do you know, young lady? I saw you for the first time in the crowd. In this sea of people, everyone else is black and white. Only you are colorful. You're like a gorgeous flower that can topple a city. So outstanding, so enchanting. As soon as Han Fei looked back, he saw Mu Jia blushing and standing shyly in front of Zhang Xuanyu, her hands tugging at the corners of her clothes. Why are you standing in my way? Zhang Xuanyu's expression turned serious. Why am I in the way? Yes, the road is here, and you and I are walking on it. This is a kind of fate that brought you and I together. Mu Jia had never experienced such a scene, and her face was already red. Guan Qingyan directly grabbed Mu Jia's little braid and pulled her aside. Don't be fooled by flowery words. Mu Jia said stupidly, but I'm nervous. Zhang Xuanyu glanced at Guan Qingyan disdainfully. This kind of cold-faced killer wouldn't work on little girls. Zhang Xuanyu took a step, stood in front of Mu Jia again, and said with a smile, "Look, we meet again on the road under our feet." Bam! Han Fei went up and kicked Zhang Xuanyu aside. Han Fei said to him via voice transmission with a black face, "If you want to pick up girls, do it in private. This girl has a 5-star rank, and her background is not small. Don't try to get close to her." Zhang Xuanyu glanced at Mu Jia regretfully and said, "Girl, it's okay. Fate will bring us together again." At the same time, Zhang Xuanyu said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Come on, Fei Fei. Who is this girl? What's her name? She's so F***ing cute. Do you know her? Introduce me. You have to match us." Han Fei ignored Zhang Xuanyu with a black face, coughed, pointed to Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan, and said, "These two are the two genius refiners of the Scattered Stars Island. Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan are both 5-star refiners who can seal souls." Chao Qiu rolled his eyes and said, "Silly Mu, why are you here?" Wang Zetian frowned. "Are you going to fight too?" Mu Jia snorted. "It's none of your business. You coward." Chao Qiu said angrily. "Who's a coward? Make it clear. Am I a coward? I'm using my brain." Mu Jia pouted. "You're a coward. Han Fei was taken aback. "Do you know each other?" The two major refiner families of the 1,000-star city, the Mu family and the Guan family. Han Fei pondered for a moment. Then these two families must have a strong background. Although he didn't know why these two people were also in the team this time, these two people were definitely targets for him to rope in. A refiner represented an endless supply of supreme-grade spiritual weapons, which would only be beneficial to his team and not detrimental to them. Besides, he had offended so many families in the 1,000-star city, so he had to win over these refiner families, right? After everyone introduced themselves, Mu Jia would suddenly grab Han Fei's clothes. "Liar, you are not from our 1,000-star city. Why do I feel that you know all of them?" Swish! Han Fei's body stiffened and he hurriedly said, "Let go of me, let go of me." Mu Jia was still in a daze, and the surrounding temperature dropped with a whoosh. Mu Jia shuddered. She turned her head and saw a face that was a little too exquisite. However, the owner of this face had a cold gleam in his eyes at this moment, which scared Mu Jia so much that she quickly let go of him. Xia Xiaochan looked at Mu Jia up and down. "You look pretty." Han Fei nodded. "Really? No, I'm definitely not as pretty as you." Xia Xiaochan tilted her head and smiled. "Really?" Han Fei immediately patted his chest. "Of course. Few people can compare to you in terms of appearance." Mu Jia bared her teeth when she heard this. Feeling that the situation was not good, Chao Qiu suddenly roared, stood between the two women, and pointed to the sky. "Look!" Everyone looked up in the direction Chao Qiu pointed. After looking for a long time, Lurin Kuang scratched his head and asked, "Is there anything?" Chao Qiu said, "The starry sky is so beautiful." Puff! Everyone really wanted to kick Chao Qiu into the sky. What the F***ck is the starry sky beautiful? Only Han Fei immediately said, "It's not bad. Look, meteors." Then there was an indescribable silence, until a Mo Fian came over with a giggle. "Yo, little Guan Jia, why don't you say hello to me?" Mu Jia stood directly behind Guan Qingyan. She was a little afraid of Mo Fian. She always felt that she was a stupid lowly when it came to the sexy and coquettish Mo Fian. Guan Qingyan, on the other hand, nodded indifferently as a greeting. Then Mo Fian looked at Han Fei. "We meet again. Do you know? Because of you, we suffered a lot in the 1,000-star city. This time, we met on the Scattered Stars Island. Is it really fate?" Han Fei glanced at Mo Fian and said lightly, "Now we are in the same realm. You basically have no chance." Mo Fian grinned. "Really? I'm looking forward to it." By the way, you can really consider being the son-in-law of our MO family. In fact, it's really not bad. Hearing that, Han Fei just took a step aside. Mu Jia was silly and sweet, and Xia Xiaochan wouldn't really mind. Han Fei didn't say anything to Mo Fian's teasing and just let Xia Xiaochan go. Sure enough, Xia Xiaochan appeared in front of Mo Fian in a flash. With a splash, Mo Fian turned into a mass of water, and her body had already appeared dozens of meters away. Then, shadows flickered on the ground, and Mo Fian drew out a few water figures. Seeing that Mo Fian could create clones, Xia Xiaochan's shadowless blade flashed in the air and immediately forced Mo Fian's snake-shaped chain weapon out. Luo Xiaobai said, "Xiaochan, come back." Xia Xiaochan flashed and returned to everyone. On the other side, Mo Fian glanced at the clothes cut by Xia Xiaochan on her arm and couldn't help but frown. Although the battle between the two was very fast, the combat skills used by the two were extremely terrifying, especially those from the 36 towns, such as Ming Kun, Jing Chongfeng, Jiang Tong, and others. They all felt that their hair was standing on end. It seemed that they hadn't seen Xia Xiaochan fight before, but just a few moves just now had already made these people's blood freeze. It was too fast. Xia Xiaochan pointed at Mo Fian with a dagger. "No one likes people like you." Mo Fian's face was black. "So, on the steps into the sea that day, it was you, right?" "Straight woman." Xia Xiaochan tilted her head and looked at Han Fei. "What do you mean?" Han Fei suddenly felt a headache. It means that you're very strong, outrageously strong." Xia Xiaochan proudly withdrew her dagger. "I know. The second chapter. Asking for votes. End of this chapter." Chapter 659. At dawn, there was a glimmer of light in the sky. Most people were sitting cross-legged and cultivating, including Xia Xiaochan and the others. However, there were two figures sitting in the corner with serious looks on their faces. They were holding branches in their hands and seemed to be drawing something. Guan Qingyan said solemnly, "I've read all the ancient books in my family. The difficulty of arrays is not in drawing, but in the conception of the structure. Any type of formation has something in common. For example, if you inscribe a lot of small formations, when faced with an interlocking large formation, over time, you'll be able to get rid of the complexity and become a large formation." Han Fei frowned. "I know this. The key to the problem is not the small array, nor the big array, but the step of simplifying the complicated array. Only after this step can you evolve the small array into a big array." Guan Qingyan nodded. "Then you can only familiarize yourself with them and use one or several arrays to the extreme. Only then can you know which ones can be removed and which ones must be left." With that, Guan Qingyan began to draw an array. What he drew was a simple defense array. The lines were extending like cracks in a tortoise shell, but the speed was not fast. Guan Qingyan said, "I'm slow because I'm not a spirit gatherer. Look here, this crack in the array. In fact, I don't know what this crack should look like. I just let it form naturally." Han Fei was speechless. "Naturally? Can you draw this defense array?" Guan Qingyan nodded seriously. "Yes. Between heaven and earth, everything has its own rules. All uncertainties are actually contained in a certain certainty." The corner of Han Fei's mouth twitched. "Sophistry," Guan Qingyan said. "You are a spirit gatherer. You should be most familiar with spirit gathering arrays. Try it." Han Fei nodded. Without even moving his hands, a spirit gathering array appeared directly under Han Fei's butt. Guan Qingyan froze for a moment. "So fast. How did you do it?" "The way you learn to be a spirit gatherer is wrong. Spiritual energy is both dead and alive. You can only guide it, not force it. By the way, have you learned the pupil technique?" Guan Qingyan nodded. "Yes. However, it's not easy to become a spirit gatherer. It's simple. I'll teach you later. Tell me, what's wrong with my array first?" Guan Qingyan said, "Your array is very good, but your array has no soul." Han Fei was lost for words. "An array is an array. How can there be a soul? Do you think this is a spirit artifact?" Guan Qingyan shook his head. "I'm not talking about this. You drew the array very quickly and accurately, but you were too rigid. You can try to draw the formation a little slower. Then, when you feel that you can draw it however you want without causing the formation to fail, you can try letting the spirit chi escape on its own. Skeptical, Han Fei began to carve the spirit gathering array in an extremely slow way that he had never imagined. When the eye of the array was established, Han Fei knew that the spirit gathering array had been completed. Later on, even if he made a mistake, he could still correct it. Therefore, Han Fei no longer restricted the original method of carving arrays, no longer restrained and guided the spiritual energy and let it run wild. Immediately, the spirit gathering formation changed, and spirit chi that fluctuated between strong and weak gathered. Huh, interesting. Old Guan, although you look a little cold, you seem to have some talent in drawing arrays. Guan Qingyan nodded. It's passed down from my ancestors. Look at you now, you're creating an array. Although it's only minimally invasive, it's also a kind of innovation. Han Fei was immediately amused, and then he felt dozens of perceptions sweeping over. However, Han Fei didn't care about them at all, because others couldn't understand it at all. After letting the spiritual energy flow, even Han Fei himself couldn't understand the array, let alone others. Han Fei thought for a moment. This Guan Qingyan was quite capable. According to his idea, he might really be able to create a new array. If Guan Qingyan became a spirit gatherer, then it might be much easier to discuss. Immediately, Han Fei said, "Don't you want to become a spirit gatherer? I'll teach you. Everyone wake up." It wasn't until a heavy shout came from the sky that Han Fei and Guan Qingyan stopped discussing. Last night, Han Fei was going to lie there with Xia Xiaochan and watch the stars. As a result, Guan Qingyan, the cold-faced man, came over and untimely asked Han Fei about the relationship between arrays, spirit gatherers, and refining. Originally, Han Fei wanted to send this guy away. However, Guan Qingyan drew a killing array for Han Fei to demonstrate. Although it was slow, he succeeded and immediately attracted Han Fei's attention. This almost made Xia Xiaochan die of anger. And Guan Qingyan naturally had his own purpose. He wanted to learn Han Fei's methods as a spirit gatherer. After all, Han Fei's spiritual energy manipulation methods amazed him. Therefore, Guan Qingyan exchanged his understanding of arrays with Han Fei. In this way, the two could discuss arrays for a whole night. The two of them benefited greatly from this discussion. In the morning, Xia Xiaochan yawned and said, "You should use the night to sleep, not to cultivate." Han Fei said, "Then next time, I'll set up a small tent for you." In the sky, dozens of fishing boats were suspended in midair. An 8-star powerhouse that no one seemed to know was standing on the bow of the boat, glancing at everyone indifferently. "First of all, congratulations to you. You're the best group of all the newcomers on the Scattered Stars Island in the past 6 months." As he spoke, the 8-star powerhouse suddenly released his aura. This pressure was not weak, and Han Fei felt as if he had met a peak-level hanging fisher head-on. Of the more than 300 people on the Sea God Square, only one person was shocked and took a step back. Immediately, the 8-star powerhouse said to the man, "You can go." The man was a little dumbfounded. He had waited here all night, only to hear this person say a few words and release his pressure, and he was driven away. The man immediately blushed. 300 people. Was he the only one who felt fear just now? The man didn't dare to stay any longer. He immediately controlled the fishing boat and flew out of the Sea God Square. The 8-star powerhouse continued, "My name is Zheng Chaojia, but you don't have to remember my name. You just need to know that I am Adjudicator Zheng. This time, I will take you to experience the battlefield on the periphery of the Scattered Stars Island. Of course, today you need to fight a very dangerous battle with a casualty rate of more than 30%. All the survivors will be promoted from 3-star to 4-star, and 4-star will be rewarded with extra points. Or you can choose to leave. Those who leave will be rewarded with 100,000 points. More than 30% casualty rate. Many people looked solemn. All the people who came here today were geniuses. What kind of battle was it that could kill more than 30% of so many geniuses? Some people were horrified while others felt that this was an opportunity to prove themselves and show their faces in front of the adjudicator. The so-called adjudicator was actually just a title. Among the 8-star powerhouses, some were brigadier generals who were good at commanding. Some were chiliarchs who were good at fighting. Some were adjudicators who were the most powerful and could be regarded as the finale. Since this person called himself adjudicator, it meant that this person was extraordinarily strong. Cao Qiu was about to say that he was going to leave, when 2 hands were put on his shoulders. Wang Zetian raised 1 hand. Han Fei raised 1 hand. You have so many poisons. What are you afraid of? Adjudicator Zheng glanced at Cao Qiu and said, since no one wants to quit, then get on the fishing boat. Seeing is believing, no matter how much you say. Hundreds of fishing boats followed Adjudicator Zheng's fishing boat and quickly flew to the south of the Scattered Stars Island. With the adjudicator leading the way, the fishing boat was fast. In less than half an hour, they had already left the sea. After more than 500 kilometers away from the sea, the first thing Han Fei and the others discovered was that a large number of birds were hovering in the sky. When Han Fei scouted the coast before, he had seen flocks of birds. However, those birds didn't fly low. They flew directly over the high sky and flew into the deep sea. At this moment, Han Fei and the others discovered something. There was more than one kind of bird here. There were as many as dozens of species of birds. Some birds were in large numbers, some were in groups of dozens, some were hovering alone, and some were flying close to the sea. Everyone's eyes swept to the bird flying close to the sea. In their field of vision, there was a big bird with a wingspan of 7 or 8 meters. This bird was extremely fast. When flying on the sea, everyone could see its wings cutting through the air, leaving white marks. On the surface of the water, wherever the bird passed, it would leave a long trail of water. Plop! At that moment, no one saw how this bird entered the sea, only the splash. In the next second, a shadow broke out of the water. On the sharp claws of that big bird, a flying fish more than 3 meters long soared up and flew straight into the sky. Han Fei felt his scalp go numb. This thing is not a bird at all. It's even more ferocious than a fighter jet. Before the cultivators realized what was going on, it had already grabbed the fish and flew into the sky. The many strong masters in front didn't explain, nor did they bother to explain. In their opinion, when Han Fei and the others grew up, they would naturally know, and there was no need to explain anything to these young people. Soon, the sea of thousands of kilometers passed. Everyone looked down and could see inferior man-fish skimming out of the water from time to time. Some of the more stupid ones would even stand on the water with harpoons, swaggering at the fishing boats passing by in the sky. After another 300 kilometers, they saw thousands of half-mermaids, red demons, and inferior man-fish waiting on the sea in the distance. The half-mermaid at the front was wearing a golden battle suit, holding a golden harpoon, and under him was a crab more than 100 meters long, whose pincers were as thick as the stone wall on a cliff. There were also half-mermaids, some standing on the back of sharks, some standing on the head of jellyfish, and some standing on the shell of lobsters. They seemed to be going to war with humans. A large group of red demons stood on their side, followed by the inferior man-fish, lined up in the sea like guards. At this time, everyone could clearly see a huge crack here. Above the crack, the color of the seawater was dark blue, which was completely different from the seawater in other places. Adjudicator Zheng said, "Remember this place. This is the beginning of your trial on the Scattered Stars Island. This place is called Heaven Human Strait." A 7-star hidden fisher added, "Remember, in this battle, you must cooperate with each other. Don't panic. Only after you pass this test will you be geniuses. If you can't pass this test, you are nothing." The 3rd chapter, Asking for Votes. After these 3 chapters, the plot will be relatively compact and rich from tomorrow onwards. I need both monthly votes and recommendation votes. If you want to explode, just wait for the votes. Well, end of this chapter. Chapter 660. The human beings and the sea demons seem to have made an agreement on this side of the Heaven Human Strait. At this moment, there were strong masters on both sides, and they didn't intend to take action for the time being. When Han Fei and the others landed on the sea, the red demons and inferior manfish on the opposite side all moved. The half-mermaid, standing in the front, roared, and the movement behind it slowly disappeared. Adjudicator Zheng said, "Listen, we won't attack you today, and the other side's strong masters won't attack you either. So, it's up to you whether you can survive or not." Luo Xiaobai suddenly said via voice transmission, "There are insects in this strait." Luren Kuang said, "I hate insects the most." Han Fei was also perceiving at this moment, but he found that this strait seemed to be controlled by an invisible force, and his perception couldn't penetrate it all. Han Fei responded, "Xiaobai, are you sure? I can't perceive it." Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes, perception doesn't work. I perceive it through spiritual plants, but there are very few spiritual plants there, so I can't see clearly." Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Then are we going to fight the insects or those on the opposite side?" Xiao Xiaochan looked at Han Fei. "The inferior manfish and half-mermaids have come out. Do you think there will be a human-like creature?" Han Fei thought of Imo Qianshang, whom he met in a level 3 fishery, and shook his head slightly. "I don't think so, but we still have to be careful. Don't let strangers get close." Someone asked, "Master, are we going down?" Adjudicator Zheng didn't respond but looked at the opposite side and shouted, "I wonder how many sea demon heavenly talents you're going to send to die this year." On the opposite side of the sea, the leading half-mermaid was shining with golden light. The sun shone on him, making him look extremely dazzling and golden. He said in a hoarse voice, "You think too highly of your human heavenly talents." Adjudicator Zheng laughed aloud. "Heavenly talents of the human race are invincible. How can you stinky fish and shrimps compare to us?" "I hope you can still say that later." The half-mermaid on the opposite side stretched out its harpoon, and in an instant, hundreds of inferior manfish and red demons directly sank into the sea and rushed to the heaven-human strait. Chao Qiu followed Han Fei. "Why do they have so many people? We only have 300 people. Behind Adjudicator Zheng, someone said to everyone, "Remember, no matter what, you can't lose. If you lose, a world-shaking war will break out between the human race and the sea demons within 3 days. Everyone who survives will be rewarded." Someone reminded, "Remember to protect the spirit gatherers. There is no team in this battle. It's just about winning. Spirit gatherers, don't be stingy with your spiritual energy. Anyone who lacks spiritual energy must be supplied. Also, don't use spirit fruits if you don't have to. Display your strongest strength." Han Fei looked back at Chao Qiu. "Remember, poison god, get ready." Han Fei frowned slightly. 300 versus 800, and he couldn't use spiritual fruits. "Why?" Luren Kuang suddenly said, "Don't you think this is like a competition for resources between villages?" Zhang Xuanyu was confused. "But if we can't beat them and all die inside, won't the Scattered Stars Island feel sorry?" Luo Xiaobai said, "There's no reason for us to lose this battle. There don't seem to be many people from the 36 towns who came this time. Looking at their waist tags, few of them have 3-star badges. From this, it can be seen that there are not many weaklings among the people who came this time. They are all elites of the younger generation." Luren Kuang said, "That doesn't mean we can win. There are red demons on the other side." Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "Those red demons are only more talented than the inferior manfish, but their strength is still far from that of a hidden fisher. I'm afraid that there are red demons comparable to peak-level hanging fishers among them. They'll be difficult to deal with." Before they said anything, Adjudicator Zheng shouted, "Everyone, enter the Heaven-Human Canyon. The seal will not be lifted within half an hour. Kill them and come back alive." Let's go." In the crowd, Yang Yu raised his double axes high and jumped directly into the sea. Immediately afterward, many people jumped directly into the sea without saying a word. Chao Qiu shouted, "Han Fei, protect me." Han Fei was speechless. "I'm AF * King Spirit Gatherer." Chao Qiu rolled his eyes. "How can you say that? Don't you have any shame saying that you are a spirit gatherer at this time?" Guan Xingyan looked at Sun Mu and the others, then looked at Han Fei and said to Mu Jia, "Chao Qiu is most afraid of death. He has been following Han Fei and the others from the beginning. It must be because Han Fei and the others are strong. Let's follow them. Mu Jia said, but I feel that Sister Mo is also strong. Guan Qingyan asked, then why didn't Chao Qiu follow them? Mu Jia was also taken aback. Cowards are the most timid. At any time, he values his own safety more than anything else. Is Han Fei also good at fighting? Put on. The crowd jumped into the water one after another. Yang Diyu, the madman, took the lead, and people in all directions behind him began to accelerate. Someone said to everyone via voice transmission, let's rush into the seal first and then fight. Luo Xiaobai said to everyone via voice transmission, be careful of the cliffs and rocks on both sides of the canyon when fighting. There may be danger there. Luo Xiaobai said to Han Fei and the others via voice transmission, this is not a team battle. Let's put aside our personal grievances first. If I'm right, this battle is probably very important. Anyway, Han Fei didn't want to expose his full strength at this moment. After all, this battle came without any advance notice, no care, and no preparation. However, the people selected for this battle were based on the deeds of the newcomers who had entered the Scattered Stars Island in the past 6 months, which meant that everything on the Scattered Stars Island seemed to be paid attention to. This feeling was very bad. It was like someone had set up a camera in your home, and your whole life was exposed to others. It was impossible to say that you didn't care. The location of the Heaven-Human Strait was about 1,300 meters deep under the sea, and the bottom of the strait couldn't be seen from above. This reminded Han Fei and the others of the undersea stone forest where the rock-holding turtle was once sealed. Luo Xiaobai said, put on your battle suits. Han Fei, set up an array. As Han Fei swam quickly, he gathered spiritual energy, and in a moment, the 6 spirit armor appeared on the others. Chao Qiu said, me too. Mu Jia added, me too. Han Fei said, what's the hurry? We haven't arrived yet. Then Han Fei didn't hesitate to set up a defense array for each of them. On Guan Qingyan's side, a set of ultra-quality armor appeared on him, which was full of patterns and had its own arrays. Han Fei was stunned. Old Guan, when did you engrave this? Guan Qingyan replied, it took me a month to set up 2 defense arrays. They're not very strong. Han Fei was speechless. How could they not be strong? The armor had its own arrays. He didn't know how effective they were, but he had to pay attention to them later. When everyone rushed into the Heaven-Human Strait, Yang Diyu and dozens of other people in the front had already started fighting with the Red Demons. Yes, the Red Demons. The first batch of people who came in were all fighting with the Red Demons. As a result, the battle was too intense. The seawater was rolling and the ripples were shaking. Everyone could only fight with their perception, which was extremely bad for their vision. Of course, there were also people who fought to the climax as soon as they came in. For example, Han Fei had already seen a death door descending from the sky, and the great void sword art had created thousands of sword shadows in the water. A red demon was besieged by 3 disciples of the major sections. At this moment, its abdomen was pierced and half of its body was smashed. And in the battle, there was also a young man who seemed to be from the 36 towns. He clasped a knife with a chain and rolled up a knife chain tornado in the sea. However, 5 harpoons stabbed into his chain storm like lightning. 3 were blasted away, another cut off half of his arm, and the last one was inserted in his abdomen. He directly hit the cliff with the harpoon. When a man hit the cliff, he was not dead yet. But in the next moment, a large mouth that looked like a sickle suddenly appeared on the cliff. It was a gigantic sea centipede, and it directly dragged him into a cave on the cliff. Many people saw this scene, and someone said via voice transmission, don't get close to the cliff. Everyone tried to disperse. Too many people are not good for the battle. Someone said, armorists, pay attention to the surroundings. Pull out the battle line first. Someone said, manipulators, pay attention to the defense. Soul warriors, go to the front. On Han Fei's side, Luo Xiaobai said, let's swim deeper, attract some of them down, and fight separately. As Luo Xiaobai spoke, Xia Xiaochan had already disappeared. Her body was like a shadow, and the thousand-strike technique directly penetrated the two inferior manfish. Zhang Xuanyu directly used the instant mystic spear. A red demon launched a desperate attack, seeming to want to kill Zhang Xuanyu. With a crack, the sixth spirit armor was broken, and dozens of vines were planted in the void, trying to buckle the stabbing harpoon. Lu Renquang reacted extremely quickly. There was no time for him to put up a shield, so he used the 4-level rushing thunder knife to block the attack for Zhang Xuanyu. The instant mystic spear was extremely fast, and it was Zhang Xuanyu's current peak attack. And the red demon seemed to be a level 47 creature. Although it was not a peak level 1, it was equivalent to an advanced hanging fisher. Zhang Xuanyu stabbed a big hole in its thigh, so its leg was useless. Han Fei swung the blood-drinking knife and jumped across the space, appearing directly in front of the red demon. A suit of armor suddenly appeared on the red demon's body, but the armor didn't block Han Fei's knife and was cut open with a big hole. At this moment, Xia Xiaochan had already appeared in a flash and stabbed the red demon's neck. All of this happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint. During the whole process, Chao Qiu and Mu Jia were both dumbfounded. Guan Xingyan dropped more than 30 ultra-quality spiritual weapons and had blocked at least 5 attacks for the two of them. Luo Xiaobai ordered, "Let's go down." First, asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 661. The moment everyone entered the battlefield, the battle was already boiling. In less than 3 breaths of time, more than 10 people had fallen. Of course, these people were also extremely powerful. They had probably killed more than 50 sea demons. Han Fei and the others rushed down for about 500 meters. Rushing down with them were not only Guan Xingyan and the others, but also some people from the 7 major sects and some heavenly talent from the 36 towns. There were about 50 people in total. 50 people were quite a lot, and more than 100 red demons and inferior manfish were attracted. Among them, there were more than 20 red demons around Han Fei, including a half-mermaid. The scene was very chaotic. Many people were shouting, "Disperse, disperse." Lu Renquang slashed out with the armor art, and the torrents of knives and swords bought about 1 second for everyone. Luo Xiaobai went all out at this moment. When she came down from above, she had already set up countless vines. At this moment, within 500 meters of them, there were spiritual plants. In every direction, there were several vines spreading out. Guan Xingyan didn't seem to be very good at fighting. However, Guan Xingyan had a lot of ultra-quality spiritual weapons. At this moment, he was dealing with 5 inferior manfish by himself, and he defended himself like an iron bucket. It was not enough for Chao Qiu to arm himself to the teeth. He also attached the super defensive cloud dolphin to himself. After that, he had the poison sheath fish run out and spit all kinds of bubbles. At the same time, his spiritual beast, blazing fish, was spreading illusions. As for Mu Jia, just like Chao Qiu, she was also armed to the teeth. A set of exquisite female battle armor wrapped around her neck. Apart from her eyes, there was no part of her body that was exposed. Mu Jia threw out more than 50 top-grade longswords at once. These long swords seemed to have formed a sword array and were fighting against a red demon. Han Fei clicked his tongue. This was the benefit of being a refiner. They tossed out supreme-grade spiritual artifacts as if they were free, causing them to be surrounded by supreme-grade spiritual artifacts. Mu Jia and Guan Xingyan alone had thrown out more than 100 ultra-quality spiritual weapons, and all of them had sealed spirits. Han Fei took a look. These 3 people were simply 3 weirdos. If he were an inferior manfish or a red demon, he would never run to them. How was this a fight? He was clearly showing off his family's wealth. Suddenly, Han Fei sensed something and dodged sideways. A streak of red light brushed past his chest. In the next second, another 2 harpoons darted at him. However, it wasn't as strong as the previous one. Holding the whetstone, Han Fei slapped the 2 harpoons away with a brick. However, in the blink of an eye, he was surrounded by 2 inferior manfish and a red demon. The red demon was wearing a colorful armor, riding a fiery fish, and holding a spear. He stabbed Han Fei. The corners of Han Fei's mouth rose. His body dodged in a strange posture, and with a backhand, he used the draw technique. On the other side, how could the two inferior manfish expect that Han Fei would have time to attack them while fighting the red demon? As a result, the two mermaids were beheaded with a single slash. The red demon didn't even blink when two of his subordinates died. When he passed by Han Fei's 9-star chain had already buckled him. After beheading the two inferior manfish, Han Fei's next target was this red demon. Even if it was entangled, this red demon didn't seem to be worried. It seemed to know a special sea monster fighting technique. At the same time, it blocked Han Fei's attack position with 8 spears, trying to kill Han Fei with one blow. However, after seeing this scene, no one came to help Han Fei. Even Luo Xiaobai didn't use her vines to help at all, because she knew that this kind of attack was of no use to Han Fei at all. When the red demon attacked at close range, it had nowhere to run. Han Fei dodged 6 spears with a weird footwork, grabbed 2 spears with both hands, and quickly retreated. The red demon thought that Han Fei couldn't resist it, so it chased him with all its might. It also recalled a harpoon, ready to stab Han Fei to death. At this time, Zhang Xuanyu was also fighting with a red demon and an inferior manfish. Seeing that Han Fei was flying over, the red demon immediately gave up on Zhang Xuanyu and charged at Han Fei. It seemed that Han Fei was in a bad situation. However, those who were familiar with Han Fei were not worried. Only Mu Jia shouted to Han Fei, "Be careful, liar." Cao Qiu immediately rolled his eyes. "Silly Mu, don't let your sword formation leave me." Just as Mu Jia finished shouting, more than 30 blue sea wandering dragon daggers suddenly appeared beside Han Fei. Swish, the 10,000 knives in one appeared in a flash, and the two red demons were almost instantly pierced into sieves. It wasn't until this moment of death that they realized that this guy did it on purpose. Zhang Xuanyu's instant mystic spear had already pierced through the inferior manfish in front of him, and he didn't forget to say to Han Fei, "Thank you, brother." After about 10 minutes, the battle stabilized. The previous battle was too chaotic, resulting in dozens of people dying at the beginning. During this time, the sea monsters rushed forward desperately. They didn't care about the casualties on their side at all, and just wanted to kill the human in front of them. But at this moment, the human side had already set up various formations. Many people gradually dispersed in the battle. Everyone helped each other. Although the battle was still fierce, it was no longer easy for them to die. At this time, Luo Xiaobai said via voice transmission, "Something is wrong. These sea monsters are not as strong as we thought. Han Fei, inject spiritual energy into everyone. I think something will happen later." Seeing that no one needed his help, although most people were dealing with 2 or even 3 creatures, Han Fei didn't need his help. But in fact, only the red demons were difficult to deal with, and the inferior manfish were actually not difficult to deal with. And the number of red demons was actually only about 300. In the confrontation just now, no less than 50 of them died. Therefore, even though the battle seemed to be thrilling, it wasn't that urgent anymore. Hearing Luo Xiaobai's words, Han Fei immediately set up a spirit-gathering formation, pointed his fingers, and first injected spiritual energy into Luo Xiaobai and Luren Quan. After all, these two consumed the most spiritual energy. At the same time, Han Fei shouted to Mu Jia and Guan Qingyan, "Don't throw so many weapons out. It's a waste of spiritual energy. Save some." Cao Qiu had already put away his blazing fish and poisonous bubble fish. This guy is the smartest. Anyway, I can't hit the enemy, so I just don't fight. Mu Jia's face was a little pale. This was the first time she had encountered such a crazy battle, so it was inevitable that she used too much strength. Seeing that she was exhausted, Han Fei also injected a pillar of spiritual energy into her, which helped her recover a little. However, at the moment when Han Fei used the spirit-gathering art, 3 red demons directly besieged Han Fei from 3 directions. Not only Han Fei, but other spirit-gatherers who used the spirit-gathering art were also besieged at this moment. It seemed that these sea demons were targeting the spirit-gatherers. Immediately, Luo Xiaobai said, "Han Fei, After you finish, help the others. The others stop unnecessary consumption and start to group up in a small area. Not only Luo Xiaobai realized this, but many people also realized that something was wrong. Yang Diyu was the craziest, and the range of his voice transmission was the widest. Huh, where are the sea demons? Why don't they come to fight me? Are you afraid of being killed by me? Han Fei immediately understood the intentions of these sea demons. Just now, he also felt something was wrong. Why were these sea demons weaker? It turned out that these sea demons were also fighting for a purpose. At this moment, although some sea demons were fighting desperately, their goal was to kill the spirit gatherers among the human beings. But some of the sirens disappeared. Han Fei chuckled. Instead of continuing to use the 10,000 knives in one, he withdrew the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and faced the 3 red demons alone. If these red demons were above level 50, Han Fei would never fight them head-on. However, among these 3 red demons, the highest level was only level 48, and none of them was at the peak level, so Han Fei was not afraid of them. Among these 3 red demons, one was riding a blazing fire fish with a phantom of an axe on its body, and the other had fused with a sailfish companion spirit. The 3 blazing attacks attracted the attention of many people. However, Han Fei just stood still in the water, and the seawater in front of him suddenly rolled up countless water blades. When the 2 sides were less than 100 meters away from each other, Han Fei quickly retreated. Mu Jiao said, "Why is no one helping him? Those are 3 red demons." Chao Qiu's lips trembled. "It's okay. He used poison." Mu Jiao asked, "What poison? I didn't see him use poison." 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. When one of the red demons coughed out, Han Fei immediately stopped retreating and activated the draw technique. With invincible fighting intent, he drew out a huge blade tens of meters long. Kacha! Puff! 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 The 3 red demons didn't even have time to react and were directly chopped up by Han Fei, including their companion spirits. This time, they were all rolling. The chopped red demons didn't die immediately. Half of their bodies were still vomiting and tossing. Han Fei stroked the blood-drinking knife and stomped on the ground. Twice, thrice one spirit gathering array after another appeared. He was drawing a large spirit gathering array. Han Fei didn't dare to let Master Hexagon do it. After all, there were 8-star powerhouses watching outside. He didn't know if Master Hexagon's help would attract others' attention. The Hexagon starfish didn't dare to move either. As if falling into a deep sleep, it hit on Xia Xiaochan's calf and didn't move at all. Han Fei said to the others via voice transmission, "Those who can hear, hurry up and recover immediately. Something is wrong. You must recover as soon as possible." Second update. Please vote. End of this chapter. Chapter 662. Very few man-fish succeeded in killing spirit gatherers. Human beings were not fools. Once a spirit gatherer died, once his spiritual energy was exhausted, he could only eat things like spiritual fruits and spirit-refilling pills. However, after taking spiritual fruits, the spiritual energy in his body would be in a state of turbulence. Even if he could fight, his combat power would decline due to the turbulence of spiritual energy. But spirit gatherers were different. They sent spiritual energy directly into their body, which was like their own and could be used however they wanted. After the last red demon was beheaded, the crowd gathered in groups of 3 to 5. At this time, many people with good judgment and commanding ability emerged one after another, trying to control the situation. Someone immediately said, "All teams, gather." But someone immediately retorted, "No, if we charge again, the battle will be too intense. How can we fight?" Someone shouted, "Count the casualties." Someone retorted, "Count the casualties?" Now it's time to think about how to deal with the sneak attack of the sea demons. In the battle, just now, the enemy's casualties were definitely no more than 300. For a time, many people wanted to be the commander. They believed that Adjudicator Zheng, who was outside, must know the situation underwater and must be paying attention to them at this moment. At this time, if they stood out, they would only get more and more benefits in the future. Among all the people, Han Fei looked calm. He informed Luo Xiaobai, "Don't talk. Don't give orders." Han Fei had already set up dozens of spirit gathering arrays. In his perception, those sea demons were swimming to the other side of the canyon, and the enemy's main force was gathering. In Han Fei's perception, there were 6 half-mermaids leading the team, less than 200 red demons following them, and the rest were about 300 inferior manfish. Han Fei said to Luo Xiaobai via voice transmission, "Wait, the enemy has swum 20 kilometers away. I don't know what they're going to do." Luo Xiaobai frowned. "There are no spiritual plants there. I can't perceive them." "How far can you perceive them?" Han Fei paused. "More than 20 kilometers." Luo Xiaobai was shocked and looked at Han Fei in astonishment. Even as calm as she was shocked by the number Han Fei said. Luo Xiaobai asked calmly, "What are they doing?" Han Fei replied, "All of them have gathered, about 500 in number. 6 of them are half-mermaids, less than 200 red demons, and the rest are all inferior manfish." "Wait," they stopped. Han Fei's eyes suddenly turned cold, and the 6 half-mermaids turned around with their team. At this moment, the half-mermaids and the red demons and inferior manfish behind them formed an all-shaped array, facing the direction of the human beings. Also, in his perception, all the half-mermaids, red demons, and inferior manfish had summoned their associate spirits. All kinds of companion spirits were ferocious, as if they were about to jump out at any moment. Han Fei's face immediately changed. "Not good. They've summoned their companion spirits. They're going to charge a long-distance charge." Luo Xiaobai's face immediately changed, and she spoke to everyone telepathically. "Everybody gather. I just sense that the half-mermaids, with red demons and inferior manfish, are about to launch a long-distance charge at us from 20 kilometers away. Everyone, listen to my command and assemble. Armorists, stay in the front and activate torrents of swords and knives." Someone immediately retorted, "20 away? How would you know?" "I'm afraid he wants to be the boss." "Xiao." A flashing spiritual energy arrow pierced the air and shot at the person who had just spoken. The person was horrified because this spiritual energy arrow contained too much spiritual energy. 6,400 points of spiritual energy were gathered in this arrow. Was the archer crazy? However, this person's strength was not weak either. The spear in his hand suddenly shot forward, rolled up a water dragon, and swept directly at Han Fei's arrow. Bam! At the moment when the spear touched the spiritual energy arrow, it exploded. That was an ultra-quality spiritual weapon, but this person exploded it without saying a word, blocking Han Fei's arrow. In this way, although he would also suffer a backlash from the explosion, it was better than taking this arrow head-on. "You! How dare you attack me at this time?" Han Fei put down the wandering dragon bow and said coldly, "What a mess. If you refute me again, I will kill you on the spot." Many people from the 7 major sects couldn't help but smile bitterly when they heard Han Fei's words. Han Fei was a bit inhuman when he was domineering. Immediately, Gong Yuehan of the Jade Fairy Palace shouted, "Listen to the command. Armorists, go to the front." Immediately afterward, Chu Sun of the Grand Void Academy shouted, "Listen to the command." Although the Grand Void Academy was badly tricked by Han Fei in the level 3 fishery. However, in terms of strength alone, Chu Sun and the others were convinced. If they couldn't beat Han Fei, they couldn't beat him. Besides, Han Fei was so domineering at this moment, which must be because they found something. In this situation, the guy who was almost killed by Han Fei immediately gritted his teeth and could only choose to obey the order. Otherwise, he felt that Han Fei might really kill him. Judging from the arrow just now, Han Fei was very strong. A spiritual energy arrow made him explode his weapon. Who knew if Han Fei had other means? Seeing that Han Fei had stabilized the situation, Luo Xiaobai immediately led everyone to gather and then said, "The torrents of knives and swords released by the armorists will be dispersed immediately. Next, all spirit gatherers, the first thing you should do is not to escape, but to cast healing techniques. Once is enough. Also, those soul warriors who have learned bow skills moved behind the armorers. Immediately, 37 soul warriors stepped forward. Since they had chosen the profession of soul warriors, they were all courageous. When a battle soul master used a battle bow technique, his strength was ferocious, and he could be considered as a minor in long-range combat. At present, there were less than 300 people in total, but 37 soul warriors had learned bow skills, and this was the situation that more than 40 people had died. At this time, someone immediately asked Luo Xiaobai, "Why doesn't the guy next to you come?" Someone looked at Han Fei, obviously meaning, "Don't think about using others as cannon fodder." Han Fei sneered. "If you want to go ahead with me to set traps, you don't have to go. Go ahead alone." Many people were dumbfounded. Are you King crazy? There are at least more than 500 enemies. You go ahead alone to set traps? Are you out of your mind? Han Fei suddenly frowned. "Xiaobai, I'll leave this to you. They are moving. Come on. Zhang Xuanyu, come with me." Zhang Xuanyu looked dumbfounded. He had been waiting to listen to the arrangement, but he didn't expect that he would be called by Han Fei. Immediately, Zhang Xuanyu grinned. As expected of his brother, he would take him with him even at the risk of his life. With a swish, Han Fei and Zhang Xuanyu left the team and rushed forward at the fastest speed. Luo Xiaobai's expression immediately changed. "The other party has taken action. All hunters, heed my command. All hunters, hide yourselves in the air. Even if there is a collision below, don't come to support. I want you to keep an eye on the other party's 6 half-mermaids. They must die as soon as possible." Luo Xiaobai hesitated. "Manipulator." In the front, Zhang Xuanyu said, Fei, what are we doing? The two of us are going to kill 500 enemies? Although it's very brave, I don't think the chance of survival is high." Han Fei was speechless. "Are you an idiot? You want to die, but I don't. Stop 1,000 meters ahead." Han Fei immediately threw out dozens of kilograms of poison god and then said to Zhang Xuanyu, "Come on, use the 9-layered waves in Furious Sea instead of the instant mystic spear to disperse these poisons." Zhang Xuanyu's face turned green. Of course, he knew what poison it was. Was it the extremely terrifying Poison King? Zhang Xuanyu didn't know that the Poison King had been upgraded to Poison God. However, Han Fei wasn't going to tell him now. Han Fei said, "The other party will arrive in, at most, 5 minutes. What do you think?" Zhang Xuanyu screamed and hit the water with his rod. Suddenly, 1 ripple, 2 ripples, 3 ripples. When the ripples broke out, Zhang Xuanyu and Han Fei had already turned around and ran back, because at this time, they had already felt the vibration of the water. While running, Zhang Xuanyu said, "This is really King exciting. Is this a trial? It must be a trial." Han Fei was speechless. Why did so many people die in a trial? So many talents definitely didn't die in vain. There must be another reason. Zhang Xuanyu said, "I don't care what the reason is. I have to find a way to become a 6-star slaughterer as soon as possible when I go back. At that time, I can regain my freedom and go to sea freely." Han Fei narrowed his eyes. "I think so too. We don't belong to an ordinary garrison team." Han Fei's face changed. "Run, damn it, they are accelerating." Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. They can accelerate? After a few minutes, Han Fei saw that the sea area of a full kilometer was full of vines. Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Can you block them?" Han Fei said, "Of course not. However, we can block as much as we can. The group of mermen behind us all have poison on them." On Luo Xiaobai's side, Lu Wei of the Death Door sect was in the front with his 4 brothers. However, they were not afraid. Although the blocking power of the 3 Death Doors couldn't stop the charge of so many sea demons, it could buy them some time. Behind the Death Door sect, Chu Sun and Sun Mu of the Grand Void Academy were in the 2nd echelon. Both of them were good at large-scale attacks. Chu Sun's 6 styles of Grand Void could turn his body into the sea, which was really powerful. As for Sun Mu, he had mastered the Immortals' slaying formation. Luo Xiaobai was very cautious not to arrange him to be the first. Bam! Bam! When Han Fei and Zhang Xuanyu appeared, everyone was startled. Luo Xiaobai immediately said, "Zhang Xuanyu, go to the back." Han Fei, Go to the second echelon. Don't hide your million knife art. Just use it. Han Fei landed next to Sun Mu and glanced at him indifferently. I really hope you will be killed. Sun Mu snorted. I still want the C token. Han Fei laughed. Hey, as it happens, I'm also going to kill you. Third update. Asking for votes. Keep asking for monthly votes and recommendation votes. I'm saving them. End of this chapter. Chapter 663. Above the sea. Behind Zheng Chaojia, someone smiled faintly. This year's newcomers are of good quality, especially that Luo Xiaobai. Her calmness is rare. Someone echoed. Indeed, is that kid called Han Fei? This kid is hiding his strength. How is his real strength? However, this poison is not bad. Someone immediately laughed. Wasn't that poison created by Chao Qiu? However, Chao Qiu was a little timid. I'm afraid he can only do research in the Scattered Stars 6th unit. Someone frowned. Isn't it a bit inappropriate to bring Guan Qingyan and Mu Jia into this year's game of life and death? Someone shook his head. It's not inappropriate. Refining is not enough. Look at these two brats. They have no combat experience at all. They're really strong, with ultra-quality spiritual weapons. Someone looked at Yang Diyu and said, the Yang family is full of lunatics. That kid is good at using the divine axe. In front of the crowd, Zheng Chaojia suddenly shouted at the half-mermaids opposite him. Do you see that? How can you compare to the heavenly talents of the human race? You'd better discuss who you're going to send out. Don't be unable to bring out a person later. The leading half-mermaid snorted coldly. Don't speak too early. In the Heaven-Human Canyon, Han Fei became serious. This fish tide was a bit terrifying. The opponents were too fast and too powerful. As expected, the spiritual plant jungle of thousands of meters couldn't stop them at all. At this moment, the seawater was blowing in their faces, getting more and more turbulent. In his perception, the army of 500 mermaids was like a sharp knife, launching a rapid charge. Luo Xiaobai suddenly shouted, battle bow skills, target the front. 2 arrows. Spirit gatherers, replenish spiritual energy immediately. Swish, 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 streams of spiritual energy broke out of the water. In an instant, they passed by Han Fei and the others, like meteors in the night sky, drawing dazzling beams of light in the dark water. The first round of arrows was shot out, and the second round followed closely, less than a second apart. When these soul warriors shot the first arrow, the spirit gatherers had already begun to inject spiritual energy into the 37 people. As soon as the 2 rounds of arrows were shot out, Luo Xiaobai immediately said, Echelon, open the death door and retreat. 3 lifeless doors. There were only 5 people in total. 15 giant doors descended from the sky, blocking everyone behind them. After releasing the Death Door sect, Lu Wuwei and the other 4 retreated. At this moment, the first round of arrows had pierced into the fish-tide army. However, the result was not satisfactory. Han Fei frowned. Only 7 people on the other side had been pierced, 6 of which were inferior manfish, and only 1 red demon. The second round of arrows wasn't much better. 11 manfish were pierced. Only 2 of them were red demons, and the rest were inferior manfish. Luo Xiaobai naturally sensed all this clearly. However, she was unmoved and immediately said, Chu Sun, Sun Mu, and Han Fei, spread out. When the death door is attacked, launch an attack. The 3 of them dispersed, and everyone behind them was a little nervous. After a few breaths, someone would definitely die. At this moment, their lives were in their hands. How could they not be nervous? Chao Qiu was the most nervous one. This guy was hiding in the back. He didn't care what the adjudicators above thought. His life was more important. Anyway, hiding in the back was the safest. Luo Xiaobai couldn't do anything to him. In fact, even if Chao Qiu was in the front, it would be useless. This guy couldn't fight and could only sneak attack. He was useless. Thud, 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 thud. All of a sudden, a strong wave of water hit him in the face. The power was like a shocking tsunami. And this was because the Death Door sect was in front of them. If there were no obstacles, even a junior hanging fisher might not be able to resist this wave of pressure. Crack! Bam! Crack! Bam! Crack! Bam! The first of the 3 death doors was broken in an instant. The second one didn't last much longer than the first one, and only the third one blocked the attack for about a second. And when the fish tide hit the death door sect, Chu Sun retreated to the armorous row, staring angrily. Great Void Sword turned into a sea of swords. Sun Mu also retreated to the armorous position. Immortal guides the way. Red light shines everywhere. 108 swords shot out, and the immortal slaying sword array was activated. Han Fei also glanced at this time. This immortal slaying sword array had become stronger. Han Fei had experienced the first move of the immortal slaying sword chi. In the face of such a strong fish tide, it was obviously useless. This time, Sun Mu launched the immortal guides the way. Han Fei felt a trace of sword intent from the sword chi. This bastard actually comprehended sword intent. Han Fei's side was also terrifying. He did not retreat. The 10,000 blades returning to origin did not need to retreat. This was a battle skill that could kill anyone in a crowd. Swish, swish, swish. 99 blue sea wandering dragon daggers flew out, all ultra-quality spiritual weapons with sealed spirits. In the rear, many people were so shocked that their eyes popped out. Their impression of Han Fei was only the power of the arrow just now. But now it seemed that he was also a King Big Shot. Mu Jia-er's eyes widened, and she exclaimed, "He can control 99 daggers at once." Guan Qingyin's eyelids twitched. What a strong spiritual power. A powerful spirit gatherer is really extraordinary. Not only the people in the Heaven Human Canyon were surprised. On the sea, someone also said in surprise, "This kid, when did he forge and seal spirits in his own weapons?" 99 daggers, even more than Guan Qinyin and Mu Jia? Someone was stunned. Is this kid practicing the million knife art? That thing requires extremely high spiritual power, and the more weapons, the better. 99 daggers are not a lot, but does he have enough spiritual power? Someone pondered for a while and couldn't help but ask curiously. It seems that the most powerful person who has practiced the million knife art can control more than 1,000 daggers, right? Someone nodded. Yes, to be precise, 1,200 daggers. That thing can be used by one person. The death door really bought time for everyone. Although it was only less than 2 seconds, this was an army that was sprinting crazily. Blocked by the death door, their advantage in speed was almost lost. It was like a galloping cavalry that encountered a tripwire and lost their advantage in speed. What was the difference between them and infantry? Immediately, Han Fei rushed in. However, Han Fei didn't use any secret methods. So after he rushed in, the advantage of the 99 blue sea wandering dragon daggers was gone. Although the million knives in one was still impressive. Like a dragon coiling around his body, the knife light rolled up and shadows followed him. As soon as he entered the group of half-mermaids, Han Fei directly slaughtered them. In a flash, more than 30 people were killed or injured. Following Luo Xiaobai's voice transmission, all the armorists took action, and a torrent of knives and swords poured out. It was really a sea of knife light and sword shadows, thousands of them. Bam! Like two turbid currents converging, the two sides directly rushed together. Blood, like gorgeous flowers, bloomed in the deep sea. At that moment, all kinds of flashy combat skills were thrown out as if they were free. The spirit gatherers couldn't keep up with the speed of spiritual energy channeling. The 6 leading half-mermaids were instantly attacked by more than 40 hunters at the moment they stopped moving. In just one round of assassination, 5 were directly killed, and the last one was only left with a broken body. Bam! Suddenly, the half-mermaid blew itself up. The terrifying power directly killed 2 hunters next to it. There were still 3 hunters who managed to escape in time, but they were also heavily injured. BM. As the half-mermaid blew itself up, the inferior manfish also began to blow themselves up. Luo Xiaobai's face changed drastically. Manipulators take the spirit gatherers away from the battlefield. If you have secret methods, all use them. Don't make unnecessary sacrifices. However, Luo Xiaobai's command was a little late after all. Just because of a mistake, nearly 30 people died in the self-explosion. Han Fei went all out and activated the majestic mystic spell, which doubled the lethality. However, even so, he still didn't use his full strength. In Sun Mu's Immortals slaying formation, a large number of inferior manfish were beheaded after the red light flashed. As for Chu Sun, his body had long exploded, and he was also seriously injured. He was dragged away from the battlefield by the manipulators. The ones who suffered the least losses were the manipulators, armorists, and hunters. The soul warriors and spirit gatherers suffered heavy casualties. The entire battlefield had been surrounded by spiritual plants, and the manipulators were fighting desperately at this moment. They were the ones who controlled the overall situation. From the first self-explosion, many people knew that things were bad. Luo Xiaobai's face was pale. She summoned a massive amount of illusionary god grass with the Grand Spirit summoning technique, intending to stop the self-explosion of the mermaids through the hallucinogenic effect. She had to admit that it worked. Unfortunately, Luo Xiaobai's strength alone was really limited, and she couldn't control such a large battlefield. Fortunately, the people selected this time were not ordinary people. Therefore, after the continuous self-explosion sounded, those who should have left the battlefield had already left the battlefield. Among the inferior manfish, a dozen rushed to Han Fei and blew themselves up. However, these inferior manfish had no idea how strong Han Fei's physique was. Therefore, after they blew themselves up for a long time, they found that Han Fei was still killing them. So 7 or 8 red demons aimed at Han Fei and launched a suicidal charge. Not only for Han Fei, but also for Luo Xiaobai, Sun Mu, Guan Qingyan, and the others. A large number of red demons rushed over, trying to kill them. In the eyes of these inferior manfish, only these people were the real strong among this group of humans. Killing one of such people was worth it. However, at the same time, such people were the least likely to die. Even Chu Sun, who had been seriously injured, could still hold 3 red demons by himself with the great void sword art. At this moment, Han Fei suddenly shouted frantically, "Leave the battlefield. Everyone leave the battlefield. Something is wrong with the cliff. Find a safe water area." Hearing Han Fei shout, many people were shocked. During the battle, they didn't notice it. But at this moment, when they scanned with their perception, they found that densely packed insects had emerged from the cliffs on both sides of the Heaven-Human Strait. Centipedes, scorpions, relatives of the mess-swallowing worm, multi-legged worms, shrimp groups. Besides, these insects had already caught a lot of people, including humans and sea demons. Asking for votes. End of this chapter. Chapter 664. At the end of the battle, the sea demons had all been killed or wounded. It wasn't until this moment that everyone realized that these 800 sea demons didn't want to go back alive at all. The meaning of their existence was to kill one of them, and if they could kill 2 of them, it would be worth it. All of this made Han Fei and the others shudder. What kind of race is this? Are they all not afraid of death? Some of the strongest combat forces of human beings were rushing to rescue people, appearing on the cliffs on both sides. Just now they were fighting sea demons, and now they were fighting with insects. Even so, only 7 or 8 people were saved. Fortunately, those insects actually came out to attack the dead or wounded people or sea demons. As for the others who still had combat power, they just tried for a while and then gave up. When the last person was rescued, everyone gathered together. Han Fei scanned and found that there were only 196 people. In other words, in this battle, 104 people died on the human side. Han Fei couldn't help but be moved by this number. None of the people who came back this time were weak. For example, the guy who was shot by him just now could block the 6th arrow of the War Soul archery technique, which was already extremely strong. When he was still a junior dangling fisher, the 6th arrow could already kill a peak-level dangling fisher. Now, he had surpassed a big realm, but he couldn't even kill a guy who was only 1 small level higher than him. And the other party was only slightly injured by the backlash. Someone as strong as this guy had lost 104 people in this battle. Han Fei couldn't accept it. They were inexplicably dragged into a fight and died inexplicably, and they didn't even know the reason. Besides, there were many big families from the Thousand Star City among them. Could it be that the big shots of the Scattered Stars Island really didn't care about the lives of the children of the big family from the Thousand Star City? At this moment, Han Fei felt angry and annoyed. How could this battle last half an hour? During the whole process, only half an hour had passed, and so many people had died. It was also this battle that made those who were still alive realize one thing. They had thought that the unknown place was less dangerous than they thought when they came. But after this battle, no one would think so. Han Fei cast the divine healing technique on Luo Xiaobai and injected spiritual energy into her body. On the battlefield, manipulators didn't seem to be very useful. However, in the last scene just now, at least 50 people had been saved by manipulators. Luo Xiaobai's spiritual energy was almost exhausted, and her face was extremely pale. Han Fei scanned with his perception, and his face changed slightly. "Where's Chao Qiu?" Han Fei glanced and found that Chao Qiu was gone, so he was a little anxious. Although this little fatty was timid and afraid of death, he was really good to his friends. Moreover, how could that guy die just like that? "I'm here. I'm here." Chao Qiu ran out of a hole in the cliff. Han Fei was speechless. "Why the hell did you run into a hole? I can't even sense it." Chao Qiu seemed to be still in shock. "I was blasted in by the explosion. Then he was dragged in by those damn bugs. Fortunately, my cute poison bubble poisoned them all to death. Otherwise, I would be in deep trouble." Han Fei narrowed his eyes. He didn't quite believe it. A red demon's self-detonation can send you into the insect nest? Did you wear all your ultra-quality equipment for nothing? Zhang Xuanyu swam over in rags. "Fei, give me a few sets of clothes later. My second set is also broken." Han Fei said lightly, "If they are broken, put them away and melt them again." Xiao Xiaochan appeared next to Luo Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, are you okay?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "I misjudged. I didn't expect them to explode collectively. It's not your fault. No one would have thought of it. Now it seems that these half-mermaids, red demons, and inferior manfish are actually all cannon fodder. Their purpose is to kill us. It seems that killing one more half-mermaid, red demon, and inferior manfish are actually cannon fodder. Fei, I lost 23 weapons. What a loss." Luren Kuang flew over slowly. Fei. Han Fei rolled his eyes at him. "You think I didn't notice you just now?" Luren Kuang rolled his eyes at him. "Nonsense, I lost several ultra-quality spiritual weapons." Luren Kuang was immediately anxious. "Nonsense, I dropped several ultra-quality spiritual weapons." Luren Kuang was anxious. "Nonsense, I lost several ultra-quality spiritual weapons." Han Fei said gloomily, Fine. You are all short of ultra-quality spiritual weapons." "I see." Upon hearing this, Luren Kuang and Zhang Xuanyu clapped their hands. Their goal was achieved. Hearing this, Luren Kuang and Zhang Xuanyu clapped their hands. Their goal was achieved. The seal was lifted. The insects in the Heaven Human Canyon didn't swarm out because they couldn't beat them. Everyone's heart was heavy. No matter how many people in this group were friendly or hostile, when they fought against the sea demons together, it was a united front. 1/3 of them died because of this. The first thing Luo Xiaobai did when she came to the sea was to go directly to Zhang Chaojie and ask, "Why didn't you give any notice in advance of such a battle?" A hanging fisher questioning the adjudicator made many people's blood freeze. Even Han Fei and the others were stunned. Xiaobai really dares to fight back. However, since Luo Xiaobai had done this, Han Fei and the others naturally wouldn't let her go against the adjudicator alone. At this moment, all 5 of them stood in front of Zhang Chaojie. Zhang Chaojie said lightly, "Are you questioning me?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." Zhang Chaojie was expressionless. "Are you sure?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. "Yes." Immediately, someone said, "What a tough character. Old Zhang, what do you think?" Zhang Chaojie and Luo Xiaobai looked at each other for a moment and found that no one dodged his eyes, so he couldn't help but say, They are really people trained by the Thug Academy. Their personalities have been passed on. Zhang Chaoji's expression suddenly turned serious as he said, "True growth has always started from death. Return to the team and get ready to continue fighting." He didn't explain. As an adjudicator, he disdained and wouldn't explain. Luo Xiaobai and the others didn't move. However, Zhang Chaojia waved his hand and threw them hundreds of meters away. Zhang Chaojia shouted, "Do you think this is the end? This is just the beginning. Everyone get ready. The next part is the highlight." Zhang Chaojia didn't explain, but someone else did. A 7-star hidden fisher said telepathically, "We didn't inform you because we didn't want to give you a chance to prepare and let you feel that you can fight the strongest combat power when you're in your peak state. Why do we fight this battle? Because we fight every year. We want to let these sea demons know that there are strong people rising among the newcomers every year. Only in this way can we let them understand that there are countless heavenly talents among the human race. Once the human race is weak, you can imagine the result." Luo Xiaobai and the others were shocked. This explanation, they heard a hidden meaning. Humans are pretending? Immediately, someone said, "It's not that humans can't afford to fight, but we don't want to fight meaningless battles. Are we going to fight these damn stinky fish and shrimps to the death with the strength of our entire race?" Xiao Xiaochan couldn't help but pull Han Fei's clothes. Han Fei nodded, indicating that he got it. The two of them had experienced the war in the undersea city and knew how tragic that battle was. The survival of human beings was squeezed to the extreme. Although the Scattered Stars Island was actually not a place where humans lived, the purpose of the people here fighting for resources was also for the growth of all the people under the 1,000-star city. Only in this way could there be more and more strong human beings. Luo Xiaobai accepted this explanation, so she stopped talking. Han Fei said with a sullen face, "There are a lot of half-mermaids coming from the opposite side. They look more and more like human beings." Xiao Xiaochan exclaimed, "Huh? Why are these red demons and half-mermaids we met not so strong? But these ones are much more beautiful than those just now." On the opposite side, except for the more than 800 sea demons who had just died in the Heaven-Human Strait. At this moment, another batch of them appeared. But this batch, whether it was their body shape, face, or even the feeling they gave people was different. Demonic heritage. Han Fei immediately frowned. These newly appeared sea demons must have a strong demonic heritage. Han Fei finally found out. To judge whether a half-mermaid's demonic heritage was high or not, one only needed to look at its face. The better the face, the stronger its demonic heritage and the more outstanding its temperament was. In the group of half-mermaids, a male half-mermaid, wearing a silver-scale battlesuit and holding a crimson harpoon, came to the center of the formation of the two sides. The only thing that Han Fei didn't like was her lower body. Was it a F*** foot or a tail? It seemed to be using its tail as a foot. "Human, do you dare to fight?" This half-mermaid was only an intermediate hanging fisher, and his strength was unknown. However, the other side sent such a half-mermaid out to fight. Zhang Xuanyu grinned. It was a group battle just now. You found that you couldn't beat them in a group battle, so you changed to a one-on-one fight? On the human side, a soul warrior stepped on the water, and a big spider phantom condensed, running quickly on the sea with 8 legs. No matter how much you look like a human, you're just a fish. I'm from the Scattered Stars Island Pioneer Group. Lin Song, does your fish have a name? The half-mermaid looked at Lin Song with fiery eyes. "I'm not qualified to give you a name, but I'll get one if I kill you." "Ha ha ha." Lin Song laughed. "Kill me? You?" Behind, someone shouted, "Lin Song, don't be careless. Since you sent him out, he must have some ability." Lin Song stretched out the 2 long thorns in his hands. "I know, but so what? Do you think an intermediate hanging fisher can kill me?" As Lin Song attacked, thousands of thorns flashed across the sky, and he himself, in an instant, used at least 5 combat skills. Footwork, thorns, claws, control. On the water, in addition to the thousands of thorns, there were also water blades setting off huge knife marks on the sea. Looking at the situation, even Han Fei had to admit that this person's strength was not weak, and there were many commendable points about him. However, above the half-mermaid's eyebrows, a white flame suddenly jumped, as if a god was reviving. The glare between its eyebrows was extremely dazzling, making its whole body look quite sacred. Zhang Xuanyu's face changed. "Watch out, it's a spiritual attack." Puff! Lin Song, who was rushing wildly, suddenly fell to the ground, bleeding from his eyes, nose, and mouth. Kill! The harpoon in the half-mermaid's hand cut through the water, leaving a huge shadow of the harpoon, and there were water columns glittering between the shadows. Puff! Lin Song was pierced by the harpoon, and his ultra-quality spiritual suit barely blocked this blow. However, it was full of cracks and almost disintegrated. At this moment, Lin Song had a splitting headache and blood was spilling. Suffering a spiritual attack, he was unable to fight anymore and was blasted back. Immediately, a manipulator caught him, and a spirit gatherer threw a healing technique on him. Immediately, someone shouted with an ugly face, "Not good. Lin Song's dantian has been shattered. He's crippled." Second, asking for votes into this chapter.